question to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
All right, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio on a Friday, April 11. Welcome to the program. Adam Lockley, he's back, the legend, New York City. Ryan Smith, equally legendary, Las Vegas. The big guy, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher as we say hi, welcome you in. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. You can find us, of course, on YouTube, youtube.com/VSiN Live. Jump in. It's absolutely free. A little thumbs up, a little subscribe would help us, so thank you for that. Jump in the chat as well. And obviously, where we start today, just 2 more days in the regular season. What's fascinating about the NBA, quickly before we get to the Masters, is the 6 and 5 seeds. So right now the Bucks are a game up on the Pistons, and the Pistons are sitting in the 6th seed. If that happens, essentially it's going to be the Knicks 3 versus the Pistons at 6. However, a game back of the Bucks and Pistons play each other 2 more times to end the regular season. Once tonight and then on Sunday night. So those 2 games over the next couple of days here are going to solve that seeding issue. As far as the rest of it, look, all you have right now in the West is Oklahoma City and the Rockets are locked in at 1 and 2. The Lakers get 1 more win. They are going to be the 3 seed. Denver, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, those all are separated by just a game. So that's fascinating as far as the West. As far as the East, you've got most of the East locked in. And really what's up for grabs, I mentioned the 5 and 6 seed with the Bucks and Pistons respectively, but you've got the play-in right now with the Magic, the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Heat in that order. So remember, the playoffs start on April 19th, just 8 days away. The play-in starts just 4 days away on the 15th, and will go through the 18th. So that is the NBA. A lot of big spreads on the board in the NBA tonight because, well, nobody's trying. Outside of that, of course, you've got the Masters, so let's jump into it to start the program. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. And we got our answer today, people. We came into this tournament, and Rory is going to be the story for years and years to come. He's just 35 years old. He hasn't won a major since 2014. He's looking for the Grand Slam, the elusive Grand Slam. Only 5 other golfers in the history of the sport have done it, and he would be the 6th if he captures a green jacket. Yesterday, he absolutely imploded with a double on 15 and then a double on 17 to end his round at 72 and an even. Today, mentally, would Rory bounce back? The answer emphatically was yes. Rory McIlroy went freaking nuclear, people. 5 under through 13, 6 under through 15, and finishes the day with a 6 under 66. How you like them apples? That is Rory McIlroy saying, I am here, bitches. I am not going anywhere. I am not shook by what happened yesterday to finish up the round. I know everybody, literally, the whole entire sports world, the golf world, which can be bougie, are all staring at me waiting for a Greg Norman-like meltdown. That's not going to happen. Justin Rose goes 1 under today. Shot a 71. He's still in the lead at 8 under after a tremendous round yesterday. DeChambeau is surging and was surging in round 2. DeChambeau shot a 4 under 68. He sits at 7 under, sole second place, I should say. So we don't want Bryson DeChambeau to win anything. That's all of us together say it. 1, 2, 3, screw live. So we don't want that to happen. Justin Rose, the Englishman, okay, nice little story, but he'll end up fading. So that comes to this. Rory is tied for 3rd with Corey Connors, Scotty Scheffler, who Scheffler right now is 2 under on the day through 17. So he's 6 under, tied in the tournament with Rory. Shane Lowry is 5 under, and then on and on and on. I'm looking for Morikawa. Oh, Morikawa dropped a stroke. Okay,
12.
Morikawa finishes with a 69 today, and he is 3 under. So 3 under, 69 for Morikawa. That's important for your boy because he has Morikawa to finish top 10. Going to need that. Others that went low today. I mentioned Matsuyama went low today with the 68. Hoggard went low today with the 67. Continuing to look here. Schauffele, a 69. and on and on and on. But the big story today, as we welcome in Dustin Swedelson to the program, the big story today is the emphatic bounce back from Rory McIlroy, one of the all-time greats, off that colossal meltdown late yesterday in the round. A 66 today for the Northern Irishman. Welcome. What's up?
That 66, that ties in with Jack Nicklaus for most rounds of 66 or better in men's majors since the first Masters was held in 34. If you're tied with Jack, I think you're doing some things pretty well in your profession. You mentioned 6 under today, bogey-free, just incredible comeback performance. You know, a lot of people made a lot of noise about him not speaking to the media last night. I don't really have a big deal about that. I mean, the tournament's not over. Let him regroup. Let him do his thing. I'm not butthurt about that. But I know the media members there, they want to get a quote. They want to get something from him when he collapses the way he did yesterday. However, now he gives them a story. Now he's willing to talk to the media. But most importantly, you know what Rory gave us? He gave us a little bit of juice going into the weekend. We have something to monitor, something to look at. And for the casuals like me that kind of will have the Masters on in the background, you, sir, Rory McIlroy, you have my attention.
I feel like, you know what's weird about that? I thought I saw him give a post round.
Today he did. Today he did.
I thought he did yesterday too. All right, maybe he didn't. That's his right. Today, I'm sure he was very well spoken. Listen, he was probably pissed off. He probably went straight to practice after the round yesterday to hit some balls because he was bitter. But yeah, I think you're right. I think you framed it well. This now has a little bit of juice. Rory is, he's a lightning rod, not because in any way. No, he's outspoken. He was certainly outspoken about Liv. So was Tiger. So was Jack Nicklaus, you just mentioned. I don't know if you saw the comments from Jack when the old farts went out and did that ceremonial tee shot right before the tournament started.
Dogs.
Jack, who's 85 years old. Jack obliterated Phil Mickelson. Now, Phil is a phony. Like, there's things we can't even say on the radio. Phony. Like, the things that would make your head spin, and I'm not just talking about the gambling and insider trading. So if you think, oh, I know what he's talking about, no, you don't. I assure you of that. I really assure you of that. But Phil is so plastic with that fake-ass plastic smile. Now, I know a lot of people love Lefty, and that's cool. You know who doesn't? Jack Nicklaus. And you know who I like? Jack Nicklaus. And Jack Nicklaus was asked about Phil. He said, I don't really know much about Phil since he went to live and chase the money. I think Tiger's got a lot of golf left in him, turning 50 next year. He's always been a battler. He's always been a fighter. I don't really know about Phil. You love that from Jack, who is going to be loyal to the game. He's going to be loyal to the PGA Tour. And I think that is a big story. I mentioned DeChambeau, Dustin, like the concept of a sport being completely splintered, and that's exactly what Liv did. There are two conversations, and both can be true. I don't begrudge people for taking the money, but I have an issue with the whole concept in the first place. And that's when, like, I know Monahan, who runs the PGA. I know he is a disaster as well. He botched it left and right. I know Liv came in with so much oil money that it was unconscionable. I get it. I'm not begrudging people for taking the money. But when you do take the money, you're allowed to become an enemy. And Bryson DeChambeau is an enemy.
Oh, top of the list. All those guys are top of the list because they broke up something that, frankly, for us was working. For them, maybe they didn't think it was working. I also think the Liv thing happened really fast. It wasn't like a slow build. There weren't big rumors for a long time. It felt like just one day we woke up and it was like, this guy's going to live. This guy's going to live. This guy's leaving. And it just kind of hit us all at once. The thing about this tournament now that's blowing me away is the disrespect. And obviously, I don't know much about Justin Rose. But I know when I look at the leaderboard, Patrick, he's at the top. He's living on the greens, or he's living in the greens adjacent. He's paying those taxes to live there with a lot of great shots over 2 rounds. But my thing is, he was 110 to win this thing coming in. He's still 8-1. He's 4th on the betting board. Why is he being so disrespected despite 2 awesome rounds to start the Masters?
Well, I mean, that's simple. Now, he did live. He's 44. He won the 13 U.S. Open. But he's being disrespected because we talked about it yesterday. He's been the 18-hole leader every single year of his career and has completely faded. And he's just not – he's a tremendous golfer. He's a great golfer, but he's not the golfers that we're watching with obviously a Rory, with obviously a Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler, too, who is, 71 today, 1 under, 68 yesterday, so he sits 5 under on the tournament.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible, if you're watching live coverage, to watch Scotty Scheffler and not take a nap.
No. He's melatonin. He's melatonin. I understand that. He's boring, especially off the course as well. He's also 4-1 in the market right now, and that intrigues me because we said 2-1 yesterday was a nice price because you know he's going to be in the mix. 4-1 blows me away. But I'm now at the point for storyline purposes, because of the doubt of Justin Rose, because of Rory and the up and down nature, I'm rooting for a Sunday where it's Rory v. Justin Rose. That's the story I want to play out here. I want to see one of these guys overcome the obstacles in front of them and capture a green jacket here. I definitely don't want DeChambeau. I'm with you about the live guys. Scheffler in the mix would be good, but Scheffler in the mix would scare me because he may steal the spotlight from the two guys that, to me, feel like the two better stories.
Wait, hold on. You'd prefer a Rory Rose showdown than a Rory Scheffler showdown, the two best on the planet?
Yes, because Scheffler will beat him. I don't want Scheffler to beat him. I want Rory to win.
Well, no, I think the ultimate redemption would be if Rory, who can't secure a green jacket, were to beat the best golfer for the past few years, who's already got 2 green jackets, stare him down on Masters Sunday and beat him. Now that would be fascinating because Justin Rose, good luck with it. You're not going to have a ton of. There's not going to be a lot of juice on Sunday.
No.
If that Englishman is just prancing around Augusta, I assure you of that.
Can I ask you about another guy too? Because I don't know anything about this dude. He's tied for second. Last I looked, Tyrrell Hatton, who sounds like a boxer, by the way. He had back-to-back birdies today. And when I look up his name on social, by the way, he was 60-1 when this thing began. He's now 14-1 to win the whole thing. But I look up his name on social. Everyone hates this guy. Why does everyone dislike Tyrrell Hatton? I don't understand what's going on here, but he slept with a lot of people's girlfriends or mothers or something because people can't stand his quote-unquote antics.
Well, I don't. Maybe did they say anything when you Googled it? Because I don't have an answer for you.
There was a picture of him giving the rough, because I guess he couldn't get out of it at a course one time, the double birds. And people didn't like that, so maybe he's a little bit new age, a little loud, a little obnoxious. But people on social don't like this guy. It's popping up in my feed left and right. And I don't know anything about him, but I know he's in second, and I know he's 14-1, and that opens eyeballs. Also, I don't think your boy Morikawa is out of this. He's still in the mix.
Oh, well, I don't care if Morikawa wins. Trust me, I care if Morikawa comes top 10. and he just
Very important.
He was 4 under, tied 9, and then it looks like he dropped a stroke towards the end there because I wasn't able to watch. Yeah, I don't know about the Englishman, Tyrrell Hatton. I will say that we talked about 2-1 on Scheffler being a good price. As much as I don't want Scheffler to win because he's already got 2, and we'd like to see somebody else jump in there, as we discussed, I think 4-1 is an obnoxiously bad number. Like, he is 5 under, so he's 3 strokes off of Justin Rose. I don't think anybody's going to be concerned going into the weekend about Justin Rose. No offense to anybody that cares about Rose, but that would mean he is 2 strokes off of DeChambeau. He's 1 stroke, that being Scheffler, off of McIlroy and Corey Connors. 4-1, juicy. If you're betting with your heart, you don't want to play it. If you're betting with your mind, Scheffler probably will robotically Saturday and Sunday just march to his 3rd green jacket.
Oh, he'll find a way. He'll be there. You know that's the thing about betting a 4-1 price is it's not necessarily that he's going to win and lock it up. It's that at 4-1 on Sunday at the Masters, you're going to have a number on Scotty Scheffler, and you know he's going to be in that top 3 or 4 range, so you can do something with that ticket.
Yeah, 4-1. You can start to have a little fun with it, and that is, I'm trying to find the number right now because if I can find 4-1 on Scheffler, I will absolutely bet that, and then hope he doesn't win, and that's an emotional hedge. So if in some way Scheffler were to win, you're like, bummer, but I got paid. And if he weren't to win, you're like, okay, cool, somebody else won a green jacket. I lost a little cash. So I'm going to look and see right now if I can find that. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Your boy Hatton is on the course right now. He's 5 under. He's on 18. He's putting for birdie. He's got a lot of green in front of him here, but the speed looks good, and we'll see if it checks up. It does check up, and he's going to have about a 4-footer Hatton to go in. He's going to have a 4-footer. Yeah, he looks like an aggressive dude. I don't have a huge file on Hatton. But if he's got a personality,
Yeah.
which is what you're telling me, maybe he rubs people the wrong way. I think that's good for the sport of golf.
Yeah, I've never heard of him, but based on what I've seen, a little bit of shtick, some antics, I might be buying in on Tyrell Hatton, especially because everyone can't stand him. So I'm all about people breaking some of those codes on the golf course and having some, fun. Fun's a good thing, people.
It definitely frustrates people when people are having fun. I know that. Hovland went low today with a 69. He's 4 under, so he's in the mix. Jason Day is 4 under. He's in the mix, which is surprising, a 70 and a 70 in consecutive rounds. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, look, you're going to want to be in the top 10 here if you're going to win the tournament going into the weekend. We know
we're
that.
at that point.
I think it was 8.
Right, yeah.
I think after round 1, the number was 18 of 19.
Yes.
18 of the last 19 Masters winners had come from the top 10 after round 1. The only one to do it that wasn't he was 11th, tied for 11th. That was Tiger in 19. Tiger, you have a different conversation when you're talking about Tiger.
Yeah, he's the anomaly. It was 18 of 19 Masters winners. We're within 4 shots of the lead after the opening round. That's what I have.
Okay. All right. So there it is. We get you started with the Masters. We could do plenty. Again, I think the big stories coming into this, we mentioned Scheffler's in the mix. Justin Rose didn't go nuclear, but he did shoot a 1 under 71 today after a 65 yesterday. 65 still the low round. Rory with the 66 today. And DeChambeau, as much as we hate on him, you got to give him credit because he shot a 69 yesterday, a 68 today on the tournament. He stands 7 under. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. We're going to talk to Jeff Seeley coming up about the Masters. We've got Brad Botkin on the NBA, Ian Cummings on the NFL draft. Is there anything? See people calling to talk about the Raiders. Did I miss something? Is there breaking news on the Raiders?
I asked Adam the same question. It was a typo. Only one person's talking. I started doing a Twitter search, doing a Google search. What did I miss with the Raiders? We're all good there. We have an eclectic mix when it comes to the phone lines right now. Get in 888 Mad Dog 6.
Yeah, it makes Dustin feel good when he sees those lines laid out. He thinks Spitz cares.
It's like when I send my girlfriend a text and I want the bubble to pop up that she's replying.
She's gonna reply, and if she doesn't, she's doing something. It doesn't mean she's breaking up.
Oh, what? She's doing her job? I'm more important than her job.
Yeah, inside of mind of a narcissist, you would think that. I would, I would think so. Is there anything that did happen though, NFL wise, today that I need to know? Because we are going to be talking about it, and the draft is right around the corner.
Well, there was big news. A quarterback was a Super Bowl winning quarterback on the move today. Joe Flacco signed with the Cleveland Browns. 1 year, $4 million deal.
Oh, well, that must my brain goes to they're not going to sign Cousins.
The trickle down of that move messes up everything because remember, they also traded for Kenny Pickett, so they added him. It's a crowded quarterback room with Watson. I mean, I know he's out for the year, but you have a lot of money tied up in Deshaun Watson. I don't really see a situation where you have Flacco, you have Pickett, and you go and add Kirk Cousins as well. It'd be a bold strategy.
It would be. Cousins may find himself back in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Which would be very interesting because let's not get it twisted. If Cousins is in Atlanta, that is Michael Penix Jr.'s team. And there's no question about that. In fact, they won't even make qualms about a competition. Penix Jr. is going in as the starter into spring. I was going to say spring training camp.
Yeah, no, I saw some quotes from Justin Simmons, the safety there in Atlanta, like a week or two ago, and he said he knew Penix was a different dude last year in camp following the draft, just watching him throw the football. The fact that, one, he's already a refined passer, got a few games under his belt. Michael Penix Jr. is about to have a monster season for the Falcons.
Yeah, I would agree. I like the quarterback a lot. So Rory climbs the Masters leaderboard with a 66. DeChambeau surging. Rose still atop the leaderboard. We'll come back. We'll open up the phones, 888-623-3646. So the question, Dustin said, give me Rose and Rory on Masters Sunday. I agree that it would be an uphill battle to face off against a robot like Scottie Scheffler and beat him. But I think the ultimate theater come Sunday would be a pairing with Rory and Scottie for the green jacket. What do you think? 888-623-3646. A ton to do on a Friday. It's VSiN Live. It's Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Yeah, Matt McCarty also in the mix. We shouldn't leave him out. Who is Matt McCarty? He's got, and in like 5 years, he's got one win on tour. He's 27. He's from Arizona. A little known, literally made 7 of 10 cuts this year. Hasn't won anything. Last year, won a small event. Matt McCarty near the top of the leaderboard. He's sitting 5 under. So again, Rose 8 under. I mean, it's just a really interesting leaderboard because DeChambeau's in the mix. That brings some juice. McIlroy surged today to 6 under, 66. Connors is 6 under, 70, so he's playing steady. A lot of bettors were in on Connors. Corey Connors coming into this. Scheffler, obviously. It's almost like, here's the thing, too, with betting. I'm going to come to your calls. Here's the thing with betting. It's like you can't bet. It's not just about the pricing. In betting circles, if you bet Scotty Scheffler, then you're considered square.
Yes.
Which is always interesting to me. It's like, betting on the best player individually in his sport for many, many years makes you a square because you're not finding. And listen, a lot of the golf prognosticators, what they do is they give you 20 picks, and if one of them hits, they say, I'm on a freaking roll. So, there's 95 golfers in the tournament. When you're giving us 20 plays of outrights, it's like not overly impressive. Speaking of which, we do have the best golf coverage for the big guy over at VSiN. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage, channel 158, and on the SiriusXM app. You can get it all now exclusively for $19. This is from us to you, Mad Dog Sports Radio listeners. You have to use the promo code SIRIUS. So $19 through August 1st. You're going to get all the golf picks from experts, of course. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa. Our Kentucky Derby betting guide, NFL betting guide. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS. You know what I'm saying, though, right? It's like, you can't bet Scotty Scheffler. If you're telling me that it's a bad play with 3 strokes off the lead right now to bet Scotty Scheffler 4-1 when he's won 2 green jackets in the last 4 years, you're high.
Yeah, if you're someone who bets him, right, and maybe because it's not as long of a price as the others, you put a little bit more on it, you're counting your money on Scotty Scheffler. But what they like to do is you get 2 schools of thoughts. One, you splash the board, right, and then you potentially hit one early, and you can bank on that for a few weeks. Or the other way is you keep splashing the board and you say, you know what? Eventually one of these long shots is going to hit and we're going to get back in the black. Those are the 2 strategies you tend to see.
Yeah, it's an interesting sport to bet. But again, if you bet Scheffler, you actually are getting a shorter number now because I believe he closed 5-1 on the tournament, right? Somewhere in there, 4.5, 5-1.
Yeah. So he was 4-1 just now when we were on the air. He's back down to plus 360. It was 2-1 last night.
I know I wasn't the only one looking for that number. People are like, wait, you're telling me Scheffler with 2 rounds to go is 4-1, so a grand wins me 4? Yes, please, Scotty. I'll turn into a fan of that electric factory.
Sounds like someone just alerted us of what his plans are tonight.
It's Scotty. It's a Scotty party. My guess is the party wouldn't be that fun. If you invited Scotty to a party, and I'm not disrespecting, if you're not a drinker, I don't care. I'm not. But my guess is there's no chance he's asking for anything but water.
No, maybe a caffeine-free diet soda. That's probably where we'd go. That's the lengths.
Although he does have one up on a lot of us, he has been arrested and thrown in jail.
It's true.
So he's kind of got that, but he's got a little street cred.
That's true. I would love if that dude got a face tattoo, though.
Scotty Toddy. Let's open up the calls. 888-623-3646 on a Friday here. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher, VSiN Live. We say hi to our friend Tony in Detroit. Hi, Tony. Welcome.
Gentlemen, how's my 2 favorite guys on the radio doing this ready for the weekend?
Do we want the Pistons to end up 6 to play the Knicks just for the drama, or do we want them to overtake the Bucks there in the 5 seed?
Okay, before I got some matches, but I was going to hit on the NBA real quick. The Pistons, we want the Knicks. We want Patrick. I'm telling you right now, LCA. That Rockets Ford Field that the last 2 years has been has now transferred over to Ford Field or over to LCA, Little Caesars Arena.
Yeah.
We don't have a playoff hockey team. Hey Patrick, when you were working at WBSN way back in the day, what if I told you the Red Wings were the worst team in town? Do you ever think that would happen? If the Red Wings are the worst non-playoff team, we have 3 playoff teams, and one of them ain't the Red Wings.
It's shocking.
If Yzerman and the Yzer plan, if he was, they want him fired. A lot of people want him gone, and it's sad.
They've turned on Stevie Y. They've turned on Stevie Y19 in Detroit. That is sad.
Hey, on the local affiliate, the Yzer plan is a 6-year failure right now. The Yzer plan. So. But, hey, listen, give me Madison Square Garden on the road, and you give me LCA with Cade, who will be the best player on the court. He is the best player on the court when those starting 5s are out there. I don't care what anyone says. He's the best player on the court, and I'll take it. As for the Masters, I'll tell you what, you give me You give me Rory, you give me Scheffler, you give me DeChambeau on Sunday, and that is arguably the three best golfers in the world right now. I know DeChambeau is on LIV, but that is name recognition. And on a personal note, give me Lowry, because I put a bet on him at 35-1, and he's 5 back. So, but no, you give me those three Sunday, and I'm sitting there with some popcorn and a couple pops, and I'm relaxing, and I'm going to watch. And I'll tell you what, I want to see Rory get the Grand Slam. There's only 5 men who've done it in history. Let me see Rory get the career Grand Slam, get it off his back, and I think it'll be must-see television, guys.
Have a nice weekend, Tony. I agree. If you had it's threesome, the pairings with the Masters, of course. So if you had DeChambeau, who is, regardless of what you think about him, he's entertaining to watch. He hits the ball a mile. He's got a personality. You had the polar opposite in Scotty Scheffler, who would be now in a different class with 3 green jackets, obviously. And then you've got the crowd favorite and Rory chasing to close out the career Grand Slam. That would be a threesome, my friend. Not like what you're generally looking for, but a fun threesome nonetheless.
I can tell you this, a threesome of guys named Bryson, Scotty, and Rory. I know the complexion of all of their skins without looking it up.
Bryson, Scotty Pippen.
That's fair. That's fair. That's
Not
a fair
to be
one.
persnickety, but
in general, though, most Scotties you meet these days, they are white.
No tippin' Pippen. You know what? The one thing I will say, Scotty Pippen, Warren Sapp, it's almost like if you're known as somebody that doesn't tip, that doesn't play in society.
No, let me put it this. There are worse things you could do according to, like, the law that you would still be a worse person, like, judgment-wise, if you're a bad tipper. Like, there are people who have committed really bad illegal things. I think people who are bad tippers are actually worse than some of those people.
Yeah, if somebody said Scotty Scheffler was a shoplifter, I'd be like, that's not great. If somebody said Scotty Pippen, part of me, is a bad tipper, I'm like, bad character, bad guy.
Yeah, and also we also live in a world today where you're guilted into tipping everywhere you go.
Let's go and say hi to our buddy Bill in Chevy Chase here at VSiN Live. Hi, Bill.
Hey, guys. Thanks. So, first, a preliminary comment. When you talk about if you bet on Scheffler or Square and this and that, it just reminded me of a very recent lesson that I think is analogous, which when Jay Billups made his Final Four picks, he was excoriated by the dopey crowd on Twitter or whatever. None of whom you'd let even pick up your dry cleanings for being so predictable. Last laugh, Billups. He was right, which seems to me to be the real objective of this, not to prove how cool you are. But anyway, I was going to call you even before you started with it, because as I always say the same 3 words to you when I call. I don't bet. But I do. This is interesting. I follow it, and I was focusing on, what's his name's the leader,
Justin Rose.
Justin Rose. I'm sorry, on his odds, and and I've heard you and I have discussed it. You talk to an expert about it, and you guys talk about the concept of a good bet versus a winning bet, and obviously Vegas doesn't think Justin Rose is a winning bet, but the guy's not a schmuck. I mean, this isn't some clown who just, stayed at a Holiday Inn last night. This is a for real golfer. He's in the lead. So is it a good bet? That's my question to you guys.
What's his number right now on Justin Rose, Dustin, to win the tournament?
It was 8-1 when we brought it up about an hour ago. It's now plus 750, so a slight dip there, in $50 there on the dollar, or on the 100. But he's the 4th shot on the board. Rory's the favorite. Tie with Bryson at plus 330, Scotty down to 360, then Justin Rose at plus 750, and then it goes to 12-1 and greater from there.
Look, he's won a U.S. Open, so if you want to bet him at 7.5-1 with a couple stroke lead here going into the weekend, I don't think it's a bad bet, Bill.
Okay, I was just curious. Let me ask you the other side of this. Is Rory a bad bet? Is this being driven too much?
No, here's what I would say. If it was the inverse going into the weekend, if you're now riding Rory, I'd have an issue. If he was great yesterday with the 66, then melted down today, that would lead me to believe the pressure's starting to mount. The fact that he made a comeback today, and what is his number, Dustin, in the market right now, Rory?
He's plus 330. Remember yesterday we discussed it. He was about 12-1, 14-1 to win outright. After that rough showing at the end of round one. He was also minus 140 to finish top 10 at the end of yesterday. He's now minus 800 to finish top 10.
Okay, so I would say this, Bill, and don't worry, I'm not hanging up. I would say if you could have got Rory 6.5-1 before the tournament started, 12-1 yesterday, now 3.5-1, I'd say that is a bad bet.
Okay, you can hang up. I'm done. You've answered my questions. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, buddy. Understand what I mean conceptually by bad bet. It's like Rory could go on to win, and you're going to collect that plus 330 or 350, whatever the big guy said. My point is, you had to get it at 12. If you thought Rory had a chance to win this, you had to bet him yesterday and believe in him yesterday, not wait for the 66 today, because 12-1 as compared to 330 is a huge difference.
Yeah, and you didn't have to buy completely at the bottom. You could have gotten live throughout the round, maybe an 8-1, a 7-1.
Right.
But now you're looking at the top of the board, and now you're paying a heavy tax for a guy who's become the favorite that didn't start out as the favorite. So I understand why someone would think there's an opportunity there because he's surging, but the reality is you're getting a bad number.
Exactly. And what Dustin's pointing to is in-game, or what they call live betting, which has become, I think live betting probably started around 06, 07-ish, but it has become so prevalent in the sport. And what he's saying is as he's starting to play, maybe you see him hole 6 and you're like, Rory's got some confidence right now. You probably could have got him right around 8-1. He finishes up the round with a 66. Now he's 3.5-1. See, that would be the difference. You have to, the time. I always say timing, temperament, when it comes to sports betting. Temperament, you don't want to get crazy and chase your money. Timing, it's all about when you place the bet. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I don't like buying into a guy who's become the favorite, right? If he was still like the third, fourth shot, and there's an opportunity for that number to shorten up, because then that means it gets longer on the people he's competing with, so you can get a better number on them to hedge in the final round if you want to try to lock something in. I wouldn't go that short in a guy that you could have gotten a big number on yesterday is all.
888-623-3646. Let's continue with the calls here at VSiN Live. Make golf great again. Hayden in D.C.
Well, when Bryson wins on Sunday, it will. And I have to do my duty
Of course you're
today.
a Bryson guy. Of course. I didn't even need to know that you're a Bryson guy to know you're a Bryson guy.
Well, I need to do my duty as a CPA. I've been listening the last few months. I need to remind Dustin that on Tuesday, you are allowed to write off your gambling losses. Please do so. I don't know what your total is. You don't have to be honest with us, but be honest with the government, because you can write those losses off. No. And I've been listening to some of Dustin's bets, including the 85-1 shot on my Terps, which did not pay off. These are losses. Write them off.
No, so you don't, Hayden, you don't tell the government about the losses. That way, when you finally win the big one down the road, you don't tell them about that either. So they don't know you're gambling at all.
Dustin, I have a terrible, terrible suspicion. You don't own a lot of stocks, I'm sure, large properties.
Stocks? Hayden, I'm 40 years old, and I just got a savings account like 3 weeks ago.
I know. I've been listening. So I'm telling you, write off those gambling losses that you have. Go through your accounts, tally up that number, and write it off.
You asked Dustin if he has a diversified portfolio. What is wrong with you?
Hayden, what happens when the 10-team parlay comes in for like $80,000 and I sail off into the sunset?
When that happens, Dustin, you happily write the government a check for those portion of taxes you owe, because in the weird event that one of these years you're going to win money, it will be offset by all those years of losses. And I'm telling you this as a CPA. It is the best advice I can tell anybody tonight.
I like how hold on, before you get to your point, I like how all it took was $80,000 for Dustin to, quote, sail off into the sunset. Maybe. Okay.
Wait, is that not enough? In 2025, that's not enough for someone to retire?
No, I don't think so. What's your Bryson take here, Hayden?
Well, the guy is a scientist, and after I watched him get off yesterday and say, I'm going to hit 400 balls into the darkness of the night, and then he came back this morning and hit him flush and perfectly all day long, The guy is my mad scientist that I'm going to take for the weekend because he will be there on Sunday. Guaranteed. And that choking dog Rory, while he might be there when they make the turn on Sunday, we all know he will not be the last man standing. We've seen it too many times before.
Thanks, Aiden.
Hey.
Well, what I would say, if it's Rory, again, no offense to your guy Justin Rose, if the final threesome coming and starting to get dark there at Augusta, and it's Rory, Scotty, and Bryson, and they're all close, the theater, I swear you don't have to like golf. Turn it on. It's going to be incredible. You'll palpably be able to feel the emotion through the television.
I can already envision Scotty draining shot after shot as Rory can't see the hole and uses that as an excuse for why he lost. Also, I'd point out, Hayden said he likes Bryson because he's a scientist. Can you pick a side here? Like, you got to be consistent, Hayden. Now you believe in science?
Yeah, right. Bryson must be pro-tariff. Is all we. There's no doubt he's not. But. That would be crazy. That threesome would be crazy because there's so many. It's such very like Bryson's the guy that's on YouTube without a shirt on, telling people to drink protein shakes, and then outside bombing shots over his mansion into a holy can. Like, he's a weird cat, but he is a grinder. He will take on the range. He'll take 350 shots. Like, that's insane. Somebody like Matsuyama will go out there and hit 30 balls. Bryson DeChambeau's hitting 400.
Yeah,
he's crazy.
He's like injecting creatine into his biceps right before the swing. So I don't know even what that guy's doing these days.
Somehow he hits 350 balls on the range while listening to Joe Rogan. Like,
he has told a lot of people about mouth tape and eating elk and no longer eating vegetables because they have nitrates or something in them.
He definitely looks over. He definitely looks over on the range and finds Justin Rose and says, "What's the deal with Hitler?" 888-623-3646. Keep doing podcasts.
Oh my God, that was the greatest.
What's up, buddy?
That was the greatest when you said, "Hey, it figures you're a DeChambeau." Oh my God. Oh,
that was a no-brainer. I should have known that, but as soon as I said hi, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yes, it does. Can I do a non-betting comment?
Of course.
I was a little upset with Rory yesterday when he didn't speak to the media, but if that's what it took for him to do what he did today, I'll accept what he did yesterday. But who I'm really pissed off at is Adam Silver. He ought to grow a pair of balls, and Ja should be kicked out of the league for the rest of the year and then figure out what to do with him. He's a disgrace to everything there is.
He is. David, good to hear from you. I haven't heard from you in a while. The first time I had heard it was from the big guy that Rory. You know what? Here's my thing. I just assume because of his character that he gave comments yesterday after the round. So when you told me he didn't, I was shocked.
Yeah, I understand like people in the media being upset because it hurts them, right? Because these people go into their press conference and they have a story written and they're just trying to plug some quotes from the person that they wrote about. They then can't do that because he didn't speak. So I understand them being upset. But the general fan, it does not affect us. And if it means he comes out the next day more focused, more dialed in, and the pressure's on, and we get the performance we get today, then it's all worth it for a guy like Rory. I have no issues with it.
But also, it's only just a compliment to him because he's the best quote in sports, and he gives the most concerted, thoughtful, loquacious answers. So you're just like, Rory didn't talk. Now we're pissed because we don't have good quotes. We don't have good copy. That's really what it comes down to. I'm fired up. This is one of those things, and there's not many in my life because I come from Michigan. It's a very passive, like people don't like. There's no love involved in Michigan. It's oh. So, but with my dad, this is where we'll be dialed in together.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? There's not many moments, but he will be on speaker, and I'll be getting the old man's thoughts on Sunday if Rory's in the final pairing.
That's what all we can ask for is Rory being in the mix on Sunday at the Masters. Like that's it. That's the storyline we want. That's the storyline we deserve. And even you want him to get over the hump, but we just want a little bit of drama down the stretch. If we're being fair about golf, most of the hope over the last 10 years is that Tiger comes back and does anything. And when you get a little glimmer of it, all you guys that love golf get so excited, and he just consistently lets you down over and over again. In this
but
spot,
you're right though about that. You want the drama on Sunday. You don't want somebody running away with it like Tiger did back in the day.
I never want anyone running away with it in anything. I want someone on their heels trying to close that gap and make a push, put the pressure on them, because this is the one sport where, like, it does feel like guys at the Masters tend to look over their shoulder and go, oh, that guy's doing this. I got to step it up here.
Why is what I said true, though? Why does golf unite father and son? And I'm not leaving out daughters, people. But
That's a good question.
Why is golf specifically a sport that somehow kind of connects father-son?
I'll tell you this, because it's the sport you can play with your dad pretty much for your entire life. You can do it from the time you're young till the time you're really, really old. There is a way to play golf with your father where you can't play baseball. Basketball gets tougher after like 30 years old, if we're being honest. Like every other sport's a little bit more difficult. You can play golf with your dad basically forever.
Yeah, I think you might be. It's a cerebral thing too, so you can talk it out. Like me and my dad's we're both Lions fans, but we don't. It's not the same juice. Like on a Sunday where there's a lot of juice for a Master Sunday. Even the Lions in the playoffs. It's not like we're hopping on speaker. I mean, we're texting about it, but this will be big because I guarantee. I know my dad's for some reason he's a Justin. He's a you know who he is?
Yeah, JT Justin Thomas.
Yeah, Justin Thomas. For some reason, my dad loves JT.
Oh,
he loves.
Saw your boy Spieth was melting down when we hit the air. Apparently, Spieth was losing his mind.
Yeah, that dime I spent on Spieth to finish top 5, you can go ahead and wipe your ass with that.
That's what your bookie's going to do.
You can go ahead and have some fun with it. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Don't go anywhere. We continue. A lot of good calls on the Masters here. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
All right, take
Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, it is VSiN Live. I see our buddy Jeff Seeley getting ready to go. We're going to have him coming up in 7 minutes, golf handicapper. He's got his podcast as well. We'll discuss with Jeff in just a few minutes. We got Brad Botkin from CBS Sports joining a little bit later as well, and Ian Cummings, who writes about the NFL draft. But right now the conversation is about the Masters, obviously. And right now it's this weekend's going to be fascinating. There's no other way to say it. Like, if we eventually, and Rory answered a lot of critics today, no matter what happens moving forward, unless it's a catastrophic meltdown, to follow up with what he did on 15 and 17 yesterday and come out and shoot a 66 today, fascinating. So that is a nuclear round from Rory. DeChambeau surging, gross. Rose, a 1-under today, stays atop the leaderboard. You've got Corey Connors in the mix, Lowry, and, of course, Scotty Scheffler's there as well. Let's get to your calls, and we'll get to Jeff coming up here in just a bit. Let's go to Buffalo and say hi to David here on VSiN Live. Hi, David.
Hey, Patrick. Hey, Dustin. Thanks for taking my call tonight, man. It's going to be an incredible weekend of golf at Augusta National, and you're right, man. Rory, I think a lot of people, and myself included, wrote him off after those 2 double bogeys he had on Thursday night. And, for him to come out and play the way he did today was incredible. I mean, we know how talented he is from tee to green, but the key with Rory has always been around the greens, and that's the big, thing. If he can be solid on the greens, his short game is good this weekend, he's got a great chance to win. I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw last year at the U.S. Open. I think him and Bryson are going to be dueling, and I think Bryson, to me, is one of those guys where either you love him or you hate him, and I think that's good for golf because, to me, for a long time, he was kind of this guy that was kind of nerdy, but he's won over so many people through his YouTube stuff and his Instagram stuff. So I think this is going to be the hardcore golf fans against these new school golf fans. And plus, then he's throwing an underdog like Corey Connors in there. He played at Kent State, which is a real small school in Ohio in the MAC. I mean, the kid came from Canada. I mean, to make the tour coming from Canada is really hard to do, and he's had a lot of success out there. So going to be a fun weekend of golf, man. The Masters always lives up to the hype, and just can't wait to watch it, man. CBS does a phenomenal job with it.
They do, David. David's a big golf fan for years, been calling us. Let's say hi to Duncan in Connecticut. What's up, Duncan?
Yo, what up, guys? So
What's going on, buddy?
A quick question. I don't know if my boy Hayden's still listening, but he said that he loved the scientist Bryson. I'm not sure if he's aware of this, but Donald Trump literally played a game of golf with Bryson, and it's on YouTube. It's called Break 50. I don't know if he's aware of that.
I'm
pretty sure.
I know Hayden is aware of that. I assure you.
I'm pretty sure Hayden watched that with a bottle of lotion and some tissues.
You've probably seen it like 10 times, probably. Like, if I have to, the boy Bryson is a machine, but a scientist and all that, he's a baller.
That show with Bryson and Donald Trump was his White Lotus. I assure you.
TVMA.
Yes, sir. But regarding Scotty and Rory, man, I'm more of a Bryson guy. I was following him before he went to live, just because I loved his long drive. I thought it was incredible what he did at Oakmont with that long par 5 over the water. I thought that was Oakmont. I thought it was incredible. But I've been pulling for him for a while, so I'm kind of pulling for him today. But regarding something of champions, like the stuff of champions, I want you to go relook at I think it was the 12 for Scotty Scheffler today. He followed up 2 bogeys with a hole-out birdie.
Yes.
Right? And it was really, really, really nice to see. Like, that's, again, when adversity hits the fan, you respond. That's Scotty. He was high and low, high and low. I think he got more bogeys and birdies today than he even got pars. Right? That's part of the reason why he's so fun to watch. And as far as Rory goes, I want him personally, because it's good for the ratings, a collapse. Right? But wait until the back nine on Sunday, please. I want Dog talking about this for the next 2 years. Can this guy get it done? He can, but I want to see him fail.
Good job, Duncan. Have a nice weekend. Let's put it this way. If we get a pairing, if we get Bryson, Scheffler, and Rory, and Rory melts down on the back nine, I just feel for him. I don't know what to tell you. It'll be one of those things where it'd be hard to watch.
I would say, though, equally exciting both ways. It'll make you feel something one way or the other.
Yeah,
whether he wins
something.
it or whether he completely melts down, it's going to be exciting.
No, you're right. Listen, and the Bryson thing, listen, I'm not trying to be he could be the nicest guy ever. He's a younger generation into social media. Good for him, bringing attention to the sport. I just wish he would bring attention to, the PGA Tour. That's my only issue. But who am I to judge? I'll take the cash. All right. Actually, I don't know if I would have. That's an interesting conversation. We had it yesterday. Jeff Seeley's going to talk next about the Masters, which is shaping up to be a great weekend. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, attention Mad Dog Sports Radio listeners who are new to VSiN. Sign up for our free daily newsletter. It's a great way to catch up. Delivered straight to your inbox every morning. VSiN's newsletter offers picks, data, strategies for your day's betting menu. Sign up for free now at vsin.com/newsletter and start receiving your free newsletter tomorrow morning. That's vsin.com/newsletter. Stay ahead of the game and bet smarter with VSiN. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher as we welcome you back. Adam Lockley, New York City. We've got Ryan Smith in Las Vegas running YouTube for us. We appreciate Ryan's effort as always. YouTube.com/VSiN Live. It's completely free. And if you go there right now, you can see our next guest, Jeff Seeley, golf handicapper. He's got his podcast, Cut Maker, wherever you get your podcast, and cupmakerpod.com. Here's what we should do, Jeff, as a golf handicapper. We should carry over the conversation that we just had off the air, and let's talk about the last 6 holes today and how they made you feel.
It was, guys, about as brutal as a run out as you could possibly had. I was really high on Phil Lowe Sr., who played the last 4 holes at 4 over and lost to Freddie Couples and Bernard Langer. I had some Koepka, who made quad on 18 to miss the cut. I had Straka, who battled all the way down, was like 7 over yesterday, got all the way down to 1 over, and then tripled 18. I had Henley, who was going to make the cut on the number, bogeyed 18 and missed by 1. A horrible run out for me today. The good thing is my primary 2 guys who I bet I'm most heavily invested in outright markets are Hideki and Oberg. Oberg struggled a little bit today, but they're both still in the hunt. So those are my last remaining hopes here going into the weekend. So I'm pulling hard for those guys.
Can I spin zone this for you? Can we maybe make the case that over the weekend, perhaps other people will have similar situations play out like those guys who you backed this week, and maybe some of those get back into the mix here? Do you believe that's possible weekend at the Masters?
For sure, yeah. I mean, Dustin, one of the main things I thought was interesting yesterday was when Hideki on 15, his third shot hit the pin. So if that goes in, he is 7 under right now. If it just stops and he taps in for birdie, he's 6 under right now. Instead, it spun off the green and he ended up making a double. He played well today, so he is where he is. He's 3 back. But I mean, I think Hideki is in an amazing position this weekend. As a matter of fact, as we're talking, his price keeps dropping. In the last, I'm looking at DraftKings. In the last 5 minutes, he's gone from 45 to 40 to 35 to 1 in the last 5 minutes of the outright market. I bet him this morning. I bet $100 on him this morning. I used a 25% odds boost on DK. I got him 125 to 1 this morning. So I'm still really, really high on Hideki, and this price keeps falling. I mean, he might be 30 to 1 by the end of the night. And I think of anybody over 20 to 1, I like his chances as much or more than anyone's to win this tournament.
Okay, of course, we're going to talk about the big names coming up here with Scotty and Rory and Bryson, with Jeff Seeley, golf handicapper. Cupmaker is the podcast, at CupmakerJeff on Twitter. Let's start here, though. Let's get a little background as a golf bettor. Now, I'm sure you bet other sports, but focusing on golf, how'd you get started in it, Jeff? Has it always been a passion for you, the sport? Give us a little background.
Sure, Patrick. So I have always played golf, and I live on a golf course. And so to tell you the truth, I originally, my main thing I started betting handicapping-wise was MAC football. I live in Indiana. I live in MAC country. And I figured out that if you really focus on one thing really hard, dial in on one thing a lot, and really pay attention to every detail, you can be profitable in that. And then I found golf and the accessibility of data in golf. And I think that's what makes golf, in my opinion, the easiest sport to bet from a ROI, because you have so much data with the ShotLink era. There's so much data out there. There's so many ways you can mine the data, and even just building simple models can help you be profitable in betting golf. So it was a lot easier than trying to handicap the Kent State second safety in MAC football over time. So yeah, I graduated from MAC football to golf, although I still love MAC football. I just think data wise, I'm kind of a data nerd, and I think data wise, it's easily that, and maybe college basketball in some regards, but I think it's the easiest sport to bet. And it's one I've been really profitable on over the last few years. And so spend most of my time focusing on golf betting.
Dustin, let me just follow up here quickly. Just for people talking about when he's focusing on the MAC for new bettors, it's specialization, and it's a tremendous strategy if you're getting started where you focus on a conference, maybe pick a smaller conference and really grind those teams. But just wanted to follow up on golf. For you, what's your schedule like when handicapping golf, Jeff? Is it obviously a year-round venture, but I'm guessing you get joy from it. Is it very arduous where you're sitting down for hours a day? Walk us through your process.
Sure. So on Sunday nights, I will look at the tournament for the upcoming week. And then usually Monday mornings, Monday afternoons, a lot of the shot length data from the last tournament for that weekend is updated. The good thing is, Patrick, a lot of these tournaments are played at the same course year over year. So I have models that I've built in prior years, and I'll look at the success or failure of those models and tweak them accordingly as I go over the years. So what's interesting when you have a course that has never been played before, you have to make some assumptions and look for some corollary courses that might be comparable in either architecture or distance or a number of different things. But yeah, no, it's fun, and it's I would say it's equal parts art and science. And that, yeah, I start on Sunday night and kind of rehashing. But no, I mean, I probably spend on an average tournament, I'd say 4 to 5 hours on a tournament for the week. And there's a ton of data out there, a lot of great websites you can use, and I probably use every one of them, to be honest, to aggregate my data and thoughts and put together my final outcomes. But then usually on Monday, I have a pretty good idea where I want to go, and I think that's important because, as you guys all know, getting a good number early is important, and golf is certainly one of those where on Mondays, DraftKings is usually the first people to open the open golf, and there's some great prices that move pretty quickly. One of the other things with golf, important guys, is people will often withdraw. And if you make some bets early and then some guys withdraw, the odds can drastically change, and you could be in a really good position. And if your guy withdraws, you get your bet back. So there is a lot of advantage to having done your homework and betting early on Mondays in the golf markets.
And you've been having a good year. I know you hit Minwoo Lee 40-1 at the Valspar. You had Hovland at 75-1, but those are outrights, right? Those only come so often. So I'm curious, because you're speaking to an audience here on Mad Dog Sports Radio that's actually a really good golf fan base. Like, this audience on this network loves golf, and I'm sure not all of them are betting right now. How do you, someone who does this every week, week in and week out, how do you allocate your bets with the outright winners, the top 10s, the top 5s matchups? What do your percentages usually look like once the tournament starts?
Yeah, Dustin. So a lot of guys that I like, I'll do what we call a ladder bet. And for those unfamiliar, you take a top 20. Let's take Hideki this week as a great example. And let's say that your bankroll for the weekend is $500. I would take, say, $100 on Hideki, and I would apply $50 to the top 20. I'd apply 75 to the top 10, maybe 15 to the top 5, and the rest of the outright, or something along those lines. But certainly top 20 being the highest component there. There's some other websites. Bet365 is a good one example, that they do each way markets where you can bet a guy to win and also take the each way bet. So if he finishes 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, you still get a payout. There's a number of different ways to bet golf, but no, I definitely think while the outrights are fun, to your point, they don't come along nearly as often. It's important to bet the placement markets more heavily than you do the outrights, and make sure that you understand the rules of your sports book. I can't express how important that is to understand. I get messages from people all the time who have a top 20 and they wonder why they didn't get paid, or they thought they were going to get paid. It's because they tied 5 ways or whatever the case may be. So sports books have become increasingly good about ties pay full. I know a lot of the major ones do that these days, but make sure you understand the rules of your sports book when you're placing those bets.
That's tremendous. As a reminder for new bettors, understand, I think most people coming into it would assume there's just uniform rules across every book. That's not the way it is. Even in Vegas, book to book, it's going to be different with each sport. Jeff Seeley joining us, golf handicapper, of course. Cut Maker is the podcast. You want to learn more about sports betting, make sure you check that out. Okay, so let's talk. Let's just start at the top and get your thoughts.
Yeah.
We had somebody call in and say, Dustin, what was it on Rose? Like 7.5 to 1 right now to win it. Rose with, obviously, he's done it in the past, Jeff, many times with a great first round at Augusta, but hangs in there and goes 1 under today, so he's sitting atop the leaderboard at 8 under. I believe he was right around 7.5 to 1. A caller called in and said, would it be a good bet to bet Rose at this point as an outright?
No, because I don't think he's going to win, and ultimately, to be honest, so I would not bet him. But if you do like Justin Rose, I actually think the price is only going to get better, because I think the more people are going to close the gap a little more. And even if Rose is hanging in there, it won't surprise me at all. I mentioned Hideki at the top. Morikawa, Lowry, Hovland, Oberg, a number of these guys, I think are going to close the gap even more. So I think if you do like Justin Rose and you want to bet Justin Rose outright, be patient. And I think on Sunday, you're going to get your best number because I think the gap's going to close quickly over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, I guess the history plays a role in that, right, Jeff? His history at the course, history with a lead. How about sitting there in the number 2 position right now? Bryson DeChambeau, 7 under, currently the 3rd shot on the board. Rory's your favorite. Scotty's number 2. Bryson at plus 370. Expectations from him here on out.
Boy, he can win. He was obviously he can. He was somebody that I played a lot in DFS and had some small bets on early. I really like where Bryson's at, and I still don't think Rory's going to get it done. Scotty definitely can. I prefer Bryson to Rory in the outright market right now. And there's a lot to like about Bryson. Obviously, it's hard. I think guys this weekend, guys, honestly, I think it's been really, really telling. I haven't been as anti-live as some people have, but I think this is a really good indication. If you look at Cam Smith and Koepka are 2 great examples of in Sergio, who people, Will Haskett was talking about this, how, people think Sergio was playing well, air quotes, playing well because he did okay on live. I think it's really, really hurt a lot of these great golfers, except for Bryson, because it's given him the freedom to be himself, do what he wants to do on YouTube, have fun. He's living his best life right now. I think he's in his best headspace. And I will not be surprised at all to see Bryson win. I do like him over Rory, and obviously Scotty's Scotty, but of those, the guys at the top there, Bryson would be my pick to win of those 3.
Yeah, that's a tremendous breakdown of Bryson. Because the fact that he can just do him, be him, I think it frees him up a little bit. Were you shocked, Jeff? Now, you don't got him winning it outright, but were you shocked after the meltdown at 15 and 17 yesterday that Rory came out and went low, 66 today?
Shocked, no. Surprised, yeah, I was, Patrick. I mean, you never know with Rory sort of where his head's at, and he showed some guts today and did really bounce back. Now, it's the question is going to be if both he and Justin Rose are in the hunt on Sunday. I mean, neither one of these guys have ever closed it out the Masters, right? And the pressure on both those guys are going to be feeling is going to be immense. And it's kind of why I like a guy like a Hideki a little further down the pack. It would not shock me at all to see Hideki shoot like a 65 on Sunday and win this thing by a shot. And if it's coming down the stretch on Sunday and it's Rory and Hideki, or Rory, Hideki, and Rose in that regard, I love Hideki in that scenario. And when he's just not a very popular golfer. You're always going to get an inflated price on him, just because his personality doesn't really. No one knows what his personality is, and I still think that there's an opportunity there. So no, I think that there's going to be a whole lot of good opportunity on guys further down the board, because I expect to see a lot of those guys close hard tomorrow.
How about Corey Connors? I know he was a guy that a lot of the sharp people were into this week. Obviously, I don't know much about him because I'm not a big golf guy in general, but I know his name came up a lot. He's currently 12-1 to outright win this thing. 6 under on the tournament, 2 under today. What do you see from Corey Connors that you like?
What I see that I like is his short game is dramatically improved. He used to not be great around the greens. His short game is dramatically improved. He used to just be known as a ball striker. And ironically, his ball striking is not as good as it was in previous years, and his short game is better. So he's almost made up for some of his ball striking with his short game. And here at Augusta, you have to have great short game, because again, as you watch the Masters, so many shots roll off the green here, right? Or that spins back or it goes long or whatever the case may be. Chipping here is absolutely critical. And if you do have a good short game, like a Hideki does, like a Patrick Reed does, for example, then you can keep yourself in it, even if you have some errant approach shots. So that's one of the things I like about Corey Connors. I think that's kept him in this and has grown his game. Another guy I don't think has the guts to close out a Masters, but certainly it would not shock me at all to see him in top 5 in the position he's in now. I'm not surprised, and I expect he'll continue to play well throughout the course of the weekend.
Look, you're not out of it, Jeff Seeley joining us with Oberg either, the Swedish machine. You know what killed you today? I'm looking right now. He bogeyed 17 and 18 coming in. He would have been 5 under if he parred out there. That was a killer as he sits 3 under.
Yeah, and Patrick, if you look at some of the different markets, and I would encourage people, one of the props you can commonly play is say most birdies in a round, and that's a guy. I think if I'm looking in the weekend, I'm looking at tomorrow, a guy most birdies in a round. That guy can shoot 9 birdies in a round. He is an absolute machine. And as you're looking at props for tomorrow, looking for a guy like that, I mentioned Hideki. I'd look at Hideki. I'd look at Oberg as 2 guys for the most birdies in a round prop market. I'll be making bets on both those guys tomorrow.
I'll ask this question for Patrick because he doesn't want to bring it up. But Colin Morikawa, it's a guy he backed for this tournament. He's got him top 10. He's currently 12th, tied for 12th. 3 under today, 3 under for the tournament. Currently minus 140 to finish in the top 10. What do you think Morikawa is capable of doing over the next 2 days at the Masters?
I think he'll continue to show well. I think a top 10, top 5 is a very reasonable outcome for Morikawa. I really do. Matter of fact, I have a bet. I have a bet 200 to 1 on the finishing 1-2 Morikawa Hideki in either order. So
wow.
I have $50 on that bet, which would be interesting coming down the stretch here. Again, a guy who I don't trust to close. Like, if you've got to hit a 5-foot putt to win the Masters, I do not trust Colin Morikawa to hit that these days. He's really faded on Sundays a lot lately, but he's a guy, again, like, who I think can get hot. I think he's a great top 10, top 5 bet. So I like those bets a lot, Patrick. But yeah, I'd love nothing more than to see Hideki 1, Morikawa 2 finish here to the Masters.
I didn't know you could exact a box a golf play.
Yeah, on BetMGM. Good on BetMGM. Yeah, they're great.
That's incredible. For horse racing fans, that's called an exacta box right there, where you pick 2 horses, they can finish either first or second.
200 to 1.
That's incredible. I hope that plays. What surprised you, Jeff? It feels like even going into the weekend, this is going to be pristine weather. We've had inclement weather, it feels like, over the past decade. Constantly. Does that benefit anybody you're looking at on the board? Is there a name that's near the top that surprises you? Is there a name that's absolutely failed this week so far that surprises you? Give us some just things that stand out to you.
Russell Henley really surprised me. I thought everybody, I mean, I wasn't alone. A lot of really smart people liked Russell Henley. Yeah, my biggest exposure this week was Russell Henley top 20. And he missed the cut by 1. And he battled back today, bogeyed 18 and just missed the cut. That really surprised me, honestly. I think the Matt McCarty story is a fun one. That obviously surprised a lot of people. Rasmus Højgaard is a guy who I bet in a matchup against his brother, but he's performed really, really well. And he's another guy who could make a lot of birdies. He surprised me some. I'll tell you one of the things that I was talking with Jeff Sherman about before this tournament was the guy with the biggest range of outcomes. And Jeff and I agree that the biggest range of outcomes in this tournament is Viktor Hovland. He could win the Masters or finish DFL. And he he's kind of in the mix. He's one of those guys that's in the mix, a little bit under the radar right now, I feel like. Again, I keep talking about Hideki. I do like him in a better spot, but Hovland 28 to 1. If he's a guy that if you wanted to take a shot at, I could understand, because I think it's a good price on a guy who can certainly get hot. He's as streaky as anybody. His iron play is as good as anyone's when he's hot. I think that's an interesting guy. So yeah, I would say Hovland surprised me a little bit. Oberg surprised me a little bit with the way he played today, but guys, I'm super excited for this weekend. I mean, as disappointing as some of it's been for me so far, the drama is going to be high as you look at this leaderboard, and Sunday afternoon is going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm really fired up. Tomorrow's going to be fun, but yeah, take a look at some of those props guys and the guys I mentioned. Take a look at some of those most birdies, because especially Oberg, I think he could go nuclear tomorrow.
And we've got some names too. We've got names at the top of the leaderboard.
Yes.
That's what we like to see. I'm curious though, because the Masters is unique, and you've said a couple times, I don't trust this guy to hit big putts to win the Masters. Who's the short list for Jeff Seeley? Maybe 3-4 golfers that you do trust the most to come up big on Sunday if they're in the mix.
I trust Hideki. I trust Scotty Scheffler, unfortunately, because he's kind of the easy one. I trust Bryson. I trust Bryson, I trust Scotty, and I trust Hideki at the top of the board. Those are the guys I really trust to make those putts. Yeah, I would say those three. I'll tell you a guy who's way down here. He's 80, but I trust at Augusta a lot is Patrick Reed. I know he's a live guy and everybody hates Patrick Reed, but you talk about a course horse. This guy just grinds it through. You can still get Reed top 10 on DraftKings, including ties plus 190. I think that's a good bet. That's a guy I trust to just grind through here as other guys come on and fade. I think Reed can grind this thing through and find himself in the top 10 here pretty easily on Sunday. So that's another guy I really trust at Augusta.
All right, before we say goodbye, this is random for you, Jeff, but did you think we'd be sitting here in 2025 and two guys in particular, Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth?
Yeah.
It's not that they're non-factors, but my assumption would have been 5 years ago, those would have been the two guys like, all right, it's going to be Spieth and Thomas going into this along with, Scheffler and a couple of others. But it just feels like they've faded where they're still kind of in the mix. But I expected those two to be just monsters at this point.
Patrick, it's funny. I agree with you. And you and I don't know each other that well, so you probably don't know this story. Dustin, you may know this story. Probably 5-6 years ago now, maybe 6 years ago. I made a bet. Jeff Sherman at the Westgate posted a number on Koepka's career majors, over under 7.5 plus 130. I put 10 grand on it. So I have a $10,000 Koepka lifetime majors over 7.5. And when he hit, 4, I'm like, this is a slam dunk. This guy's a machine. This is free money. And another guy where you're like, if I would have told you 3 years ago that Koepka would only have 5 majors, you'd be like, there's no way. What do you know what? Right. And I think a part of it is you're right. I mean, look, golf's hard. And you look at, think about guys like Jason Day. He had a great run. DJ had a great run. You have a window of time where you go on these insane runs and you run hotter than the sun. And then you have your ebbs and flows, injuries, live, all this stuff is a part of it. And that's kind of what makes golf, I think, such a fun, dynamic, dramatic sport. You get a lot of the raw emotion from the guys on the course. You hear the mics everywhere with the caddies. You get to know these guys a little bit better, especially with some of these Netflix specials anymore, right? And it becomes a little more personal, and it's fun. I love watching golf. I love betting golf. The tour is a ton of fun, and that's why we're having these conversations. That's why so many people are interested in the Masters, and hopefully people continue to have a great summer listening to watching the other majors as well. So again, hoping we can have this conversation again and be talking about this in the U.S. Open here in a few months.
Well, we'll do it. We're going to do it. Let's do each major with Jeff Seeley moving forward. It's been a fun conversation. So you've got to get 3 more majors from Brooks, a 10K. It's just out there, which I love. But you're as you were saying that, I'm like, he's so right. Day was on a heater where he was the best, and then DJ. And then a name like Schwartzel pops up. Hovland.
Yeah. Morikawa. Pick your name. Morikawa. Absolutely.
But what's fascinating about Spieth, and maybe even Rory, the dominance of Spieth from like 22 to 24, it's like they're in their prime as human beings right now, and it just not the same. It is the most interesting game. There's no way to it's like my dad would always say, it's like, the lower tier of golfers are so much more talented than the lower tier of any other sport. Meaning it's just such a skill that we marvel when we watch. You're a golfer. You must watch these guys make certain shots and be like, that's just insanity.
Oh, no, there's no question. But, you mentioned the Rory thing real quick. But before we go, I'll mention this quick stat. Guys who have had tremendous runs. Rory had a tremendous run. He came on tour. He had this amazing run to start his career. But now it has been 3,882 days since he's won a major.
I would have bet my life against it.
It's unbelievable that he would have gone 10 years without winning a major.
And he was 35. Chubby. Wait, hold on. He was chubby, out of shape when he won his majors. Now he's lean, cut.
Yes.
Like, it's just
the Peloton machine. Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
But he's still 35. What do you set the number at for remaining majors he wins in his career? Like, how many more does he have?
I mean, look, listen. I think he's very live to win the U.S. Open. I think he's live to win the Open Championship this year. Like his form is right now is as good as it's ever been. His current form, he has the best form of anybody coming into this tournament. So like the fact that he's here at this point this week in the Masters doesn't shock me. What would shock me is if he actually closed the door and gets the deal done with this much talent around him. He certainly can do it. He has the skill. I just want to see if he has the intestinal fortitude to get it done, and that's going to be the biggest question. And again, what great drama! Like what a fun weekend this is going to be.
No, it's the best. So they moved up a couple of years ago. The PGA's up next, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be talking. And is it Valhalla this year?
No, Valhalla was last year.
Okay. I was trying to remember where I just want to look that up really quick. Dustin, do you have that where the PGA is being played this year? PGA.
Quill Hollow.
Okay.
That's
gotcha.
it.
All right. Looking forward to it. We'll get you on before then. That was a great conversation. It's a pleasure to meet you. Jeff Seeley, golf handicapper at Cutmaker Jeff on Twitter. And again, if you're getting involved, it's a fun sport to bet. Go check out the podcast, Cutmaker Podcast, cutmakerpod.com. Thanks, Jeff. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, fellas. Take care.
Okay. Thank you, buddy. That was good. Fun. You know what's weird, Dustin, is like I know you're not huge into golf. I feel like you would if you committed yourself to it, because there's something about golf where it's a 4-day thing, obviously, but also where you can on Sunday, look and get ready for the tournament on Thursday. So you have a little bit of a runway there.
I would tell you the intimidation comes in that it's multiple days, and having to monitor my bet over multiple days gives me anxiety. Other than that, it seems like a fun sport to bet on with all the options out there.
Our buddy Brad Botkin, who's great when it comes to covering the association, next from CBS Sports.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, transitioning to the NBA here. No need to embarrass him. Our next guest, I think he's the best when it comes to the NBA. I love reading his stuff. Brad Botkin, CBS Sports NBA writer for a long time, at Brad Botkin CBS. If you want to know about the 2025 playoff picture, which is weird in the West, to say the least, the standings, the brackets, the tiebreakers, you can go check out Brad's latest article over at CBS Sports. Brad, welcome. Before we get into all the madness tonight and heading into Sunday, the final day of the regular season, let's go back to Luka returning to the Mavs. That was a spectacle. That was theater. It was like the retrospective on the Jumbotron before it started was a weird vibe. Just give us your overall take on everything that transpired there.
It's such a gut shot. You know, I was on air all day that day, and I got asked that question 10 different ways. And it's difficult still to talk about. You know, most of this stuff comes into the news cycle and then it's gone, and you kind of forget about it. And I almost feel like this is just one that we shouldn't be navigating the typical news cycle. This should still be like the top of the news cycle. I can't believe that this happened. I kind of went off the rails on my segment. The girls that I were on with, they asked me, you know, what's it going to feel like for Mavs fans and for Nico and Dumont and everybody there. And I just think it's an entirely different level of regret when you're the one that gave it away. Like, you know, if you're in Oklahoma City and Durant leaves on his own volition, like Paul George leaves Indiana, like this stuff happens. It's sad. You come back, you have a tribute video and you know, whatever. But when you gave it away, and I related it to when I was in college, I was a dumb college kid, like a lot of college guys. And I broke up with my girlfriend like 3 times, who's now luckily my wife. But I remember somehow my Luka came back to me, but I still have this sort of like really human, a really like visceral like connection to a guy like Nico. When I think about, you think that you put so much thought into these grass is greener on the other side decisions, and you think you've weighed all the pros and cons, and then you actually pull the trigger on it. And I really believe this. There's no possible way. I know they're saying everything they can to justify that trade, and you didn't stay in shape, and they want to pay the money, and they're trying to talk themselves into it publicly. But when you're the one that gave that away, he didn't leave on his own. You gave that away. And to watch him walk back in, I just think about, like, you know, me having to live with an impulsive 21-year-old decision with a girl that I, you know, and for me is like my Luka, and I have to watch her walk back in with like another guy and another family because I gave her away. Like, I swear to God, I relate to this Luka situation on such a human, more than any other like basketball transaction, that you just sort of, wow, that was crazy, and then you move past it. This one is like, I can't imagine. I mean, Nico was hiding back in the hallway. He looked like the Russian Politburo, you know, in Rocky IV when the crowd starts chanting Rocky, and they just like can't believe it. This is supposed to be our arena, and Luka still owns this place. I just still think it's there's such a visceral connection to the regret in private moments that anyone that had anything to do with that decision must be feeling, and to come face to face with it. I don't care what they say about him not staying in shape and defense wins championships and every other way that they try to justify it. I think watching that night and the emotions involved in it, I genuinely feel like it transcended sports and transactional basketball, and it was like human, and it was like the one that got away coming back to your 10-year reunion, and you're like, what did I do?
Brad, there's an alternate universe out there where you're logging into Facebook right now and searching your wife's name to find her, and you're looking at her with her family and just spiraling out of control.
And the difference is it's self-inflicted. Like, I gave it away. You know, like, that's the problem with. And I was on the set with 3 women, and I think as soon as they heard me bringing up my wife and me breaking up with her, they just like were, you know, they all banded together. I was really outnumbered. I swear to God, in the middle of this, they're all, Brad, just stop. And I said, no, I'm giving my wife a compliment. I'm saying she's generational. My wife's a Hall of Famer. You know, and I gave her away.
Transcendent.
And dude, my phone, I kid you not, my phone rang in the middle of the segment. And I had it on silent, but it turns out my daughter's school is like one of the numbers in my phone that even if it's on silent, it'll still ring, I guess, in case it's an emergency. And at that point, all the girls were like, "It's your wife call," and I thought, "Oh my God, my wife! We're on live TV." And I was 1 second from getting on speakerphone with my wife and like apologizing for my college behavior. It went off the rails. But I stand by my original comp in that this transcends transactional sports, and I really think this is like a not sleeping at night, Nico Harrison driving by Luka's house at 2 a.m. like a Taylor Swift song. I think it's that visceral. I really do. And the other night, I must have been brutal.
But you made the right decision.
No, that's the funny. That's the best layout. And by the way, comparing her to Luka, she should be happy. And you know what? You'd get this as a national radio show, taking calls on people justifying the trade. Oh, you know, they got bigger with AD. Like, Luka's so transcendent. I don't care if he's fat. I don't care if he's drunk. I don't care what he's doing. He is built different. When I saw him cry, I was like, that shocked me. And you knew he was just going to go give you 40 plus.
They asked me what he was going to do that day. I said, listen, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I would be shocked if he didn't have a huge game. He is as bankable of a big stage player as there is in the NBA. He's already one of the best playoff players ever. There was no way he was going to shrink from that moment. There was just no chance.
Yeah, and unlike, the alternate universe you don't have to watch your wife with someone else.
That's right.
The Mavericks have to watch.
Yeah, the girls that I was on set with were they thought that's the analogy that I was trying to draw, that there was like still hope that Luka was going to come back, because and I was like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. Like, was the Hawks winning the number 1 pick. I grabbed the right lottery ticket. Like, this is not going to happen. You gave him up. So, and I really think, Nico is. I'm telling you, when I was watching,
do you think it was Nico? Do you think
Nico?
No,
there's no way. He was taking the fall, but there's no possible way that I can't imagine that one guy goes in and unilaterally makes a decision like that. I think Kidd was involved. If you look at Kidd's history and the way he tried to take over the Brooklyn front office, the way he played his way out of his first 2 jobs and wanting total control and sort of doing weird things to sort of put his prints on things. I think that if there ever was a coach that quietly maybe had a problem with basically a team that is just completely controlled by one person, and he doesn't have, I don't think the way Jason Kidd played point guard jived with the way that Luka Doncic played. I think as a coach, he wants his prints more on things than just spreading the floor and letting one guy do everything. That sort of feels like a team that anyone can coach. And yeah, I think they talked themselves into Luka being out of shape. I thought Mark Cuban actually made the best point when he said that, I hadn't even thought about this, but when he said that Nico and the new ownership hadn't considered Luka's Slovenian background, and that basketball isn't life over there, that they love it, they play it, they're committed to it, they're fierce competitors, but they also have a life off the court, and they like to eat and they like to drink and they like to watch horse races, and that doesn't mean that you're not committed. And to jump to the conclusion that he's not committed, like I said, this guy could be smoking a cig, walking down the court, and he's still the best player on the court. Jokic is not in shape. So I really thought about that when Cuban said that. And it's like, people are from different parts of the world. They look at everything differently. They spend their social times differently. They look at relationships differently. They look at basketball differently. And that really opened my eyes. They just made a mistake in so many ways, and it walked back into their building and hung 45 on them.
And looking at the Lakers as a whole now going forward, right? They're not a perfect team. Like the build is still in progress, but Is there a case to be made here, Brad, with Luka, with LeBron at this point still getting it done, and Austin Reeves going off over the last couple months since the Luka trade? Can we make the case that this team is actually better built for the postseason than the regular season because of those three go-to guys? And what do you think the ceiling is on them come postseason?
I think so, because I liked him with AD too. And none of this is sort of like the MVP talk where we have to dog one guy to pump up the others. I mean, AD is like a top 12-ish player. So he can dominate, and they had a different blueprint when he was there. They had the rim protection to make up for their inability to guard on the perimeter. But Gabe Vincent coming around and looking more like Miami Gabe Vincent, Redick finding ways to sort of hide Vanderbilt offensively and utilize his defense. They get Dorian Finney-Smith. Their defense, I think, can hold up. And so with all of it, the center behind them gives me pause to think that they can go 4 rounds in terms of, are they a championship contender? I think at some point playing small or trying to win a championship with Jackson Hayes is probably too problematic. But Luka in the playoffs and LeBron, I'm a Warriors fan, and it's looking fairly likely that they're going to see each other in the first round. And I just think that the fundamental problem that you have with the Lakers, like let's say the Warriors, they have basically one guy who can credibly guard either one of those guys. Say Draymond, I don't know, man. I guess you could say Kuminga, but I don't think so. But anyways, when there was only one of them, and you could double the ball out of their hands when it was only LeBron, and now he's swinging the ball to whoever. Now you're doubling, they're going to isolate Curry. They're going to do a switch, get Green off them, and they're going to have to double. They're going to have to double either Luka or LeBron, whoever has the ball. And now that person is going to be swinging it to Luka or LeBron. So to have Luka or LeBron attacking a shifting defense is an entirely different dynamic than being able to double the ball out of one guy's hand and having them swing it to a vastly inferior player. So I think that dynamic is very scary in the playoffs. You can only force the ball out of one player's hands. And so that becomes difficult if you only have one. I worry about that with Golden State. They're going to force it out of Curry's hands. And I keep hearing about this Jimmy Buckets guy, but I haven't seen Jimmy
No.
Buckets. I've seen Jimmy Connector, who takes 7 shots. But I'm a little worried about that. But yeah, the Lakers, because I do think they can hold up on the perimeter defensively. And I think that fundamental thing that those two guys are going to get to play against shifting defenses when they're used to playing up against defenses entirely loaded up on them. I think that's a very problematic dynamic.
Brad, the West is the Denver and the Clip at 4-5 are tied. Golden State, Memphis, and Minnesota at 6, 7, 8 are tied. Your Golden State Warriors lost to San Antonio the other night. It was the wildest thing you're going to see all year. It was crazy. Talk about 6, 7, and 8 there. Golden State, Memphis, and Minnesota, and how you kind of parse those 3 teams.
Okay, so let's say that they all. I swear to God, I think of all these teams as like one team. They're all the same. Like if we're doing odds here, I swear to God, every one of them has like 37% chance. They're all the same. But so we're talking Minnesota, Golden State, and who? Clippers?
Memphis.
Memphis. Who you're asking me who I like best? How do I kind of separate them? I listen, Minnesota, if Julius. Okay, here's how I would say this. I got asked this exact question today. I think this year's postseason is going to be about flaws. We tend to think about the postseason through the lens of strengths, who has the end of game players, who has rim protection. That's how we tend to evaluate playoff series. But there aren't any the days of the Durant, Curry, Warriors, the LeBron, Love, Kyrie, Cavs, and sort of like these perfect teams, they don't exist anymore. So all of these teams are flawed. And it makes for a lot of parity. And it also makes for you can no longer dismiss the candidacy of flawed teams because they're all flawed. You used to be able to say like Denver can't shoot threes and they can't defend. They're done. Memphis isn't a great 3-point shooting team, and I struggle in the half court when Ja isn't a threat off the screen. They're done. I don't really trust Julius Randle and Minnesota's offense. Just like we talked about, when you don't have a second guy, you can double the ball out of Edwards' hands. And now you're depending on whoever, Jaden McDaniels, to beat you. They're done. The Lakers probably aren't the best. They don't have a starting caliber center, and I probably don't trust them on the perimeter defensively. Luka can get hunted. They're done. the Warriors really struggle in non-Curry minutes. They're done. The Knicks haven't beat good teams. They're done. All these teams are flawed. Indiana can't play defense. Orlando can't play offense. Every one of them is flawed. And so I really think that all these teams you're going to ask me about, I really think it's going to come down to who is going to do something that you're not expecting. And so I look at a team like the Rockets, and I know this isn't a team that you mentioned, but we look at them and we say, they don't have a go-to scorer. They got a great offense. They don't have somebody that you can go to at the end of games. Something's going to happen in these playoffs that you weren't expecting. Jalen Green is going to actually be a go-to player, or John Morant is going to make threes, or Denver is going to defend, or Kawhi Leonard is going to stay healthy. Something that you're not counting on from what you've just seen for 82 games. And that's what's going to end up defining these playoffs. Everyone's got these predictions off of what they've seen. And I think about the 2016 Thunder team that should have beat the Warriors. They were up 3-1. They were like not a great defensive team. And then like all of a sudden in the playoffs, they were like the greatest, longest switching defensive team ever. And I think something like that's going to emerge. And I'd look at a team like the Knicks. So if you're asking me if in a vacuum who I like the best, I do like Minnesota the best out of those teams that you mentioned. I think Edwards is built for the moment. They can defend. You always want a team that can defend. And if Julius Randle really has this figured out, I think Minnesota's a problem.
And by the way, they had a great second half against Memphis last night. Minnesota did to blow them out. Did you want to say something, big guy?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you about the Nuggets going forward. Post Michael Malone, like your level of surprise with the firing earlier this week, and do you think they can capture something here under Adelman down the stretch?
They think they do. I also, I'm probably wrong, and actually I know I'm wrong about this, but I still can't help the way I think. I buy into. I think like a guy in the sports book that's talking myself into a bet that I want to make. And I can make a case for it. So I can tell myself that this Malone thing is going to be a spark. I can tell myself that the Jenkins thing is going to be a spark for Memphis. I don't think it will be, but yeah, I can talk myself into this. The team just sort of, not because I think Adelman's a better coach or Malone was doing anything wrong, but just like the team just sort of needed a tangible way to hit the reset button mentally and to sort of leave behind the baggage of the struggles down the stretch. But mostly the reason that I believe in the Nuggets is because they're a good team. Like this idea that they're sliding, you're talking about a team that was in the fight for the second seed for most of the year in one of the most murderous Western conferences ever. So you're talking about the best player on earth. If Jamal Murray, which you don't know with the injury situation, but let's assume they're being careful. With Jamal Murray playing the way that he's played most of this season, that team, short a few ancillary parts, which I don't want to diminish guys like Bruce Brown and KCP and guys that really helped them win that title. It will take their starting lineup being completely dominant, because I have my doubts about Russell Westbrook and the bench unit in late playoff series, even if only the first round. I mean, but certainly if they were to make the conference finals, I don't want to be depending on heavy minutes on Russell Westbrook, even as well as he's played at times. But I do think that with Jamal Murray playing like that and all the chemistry with Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown, and if their starting lineup can be dominant enough and Nikola Jokic can play 40 minutes so they don't have a lot of bench minutes to navigate, like I said, they're flawed, but so is every other team. So I think Denver can win any matchup short of OKC. And I think every single team we're probably going to talk about tonight can win a matchup outside of OKC.
Brad Botkin, CBS Sports NBA writer at Brad Botkin CBS. We'll be reading you. Have a great weekend with the family, Brad. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks, Brad. We're back. VSiN Live.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, short one here, big guy, but what we do know is if the Knicks win tonight, they're going to lock in the 3. If the Lakers win tonight, they're going to lock in the 3 as well. Outside of that, everything's up in the air. 1, Oklahoma City, 2, Houston, Lakers win 3, and then everything else is literally up in the air. 1, Cleveland, 2, Boston, 3, Knicks, and then after that, there are some things up in the air as well.
Yeah, Knicks are up 10 based on what I'm seeing here in the third on Cleveland because Cleveland rested a bunch of guys today. So that was expected to happen. Knicks were laying 1, total 225, and right now I believe they're up 62-52 in the third.
I'm telling you, the Pistons are losing tonight to the Bucks, so that means
1.
That means they're gonna be 2 games back, and so Sunday won't matter. So it's going to be 3-6, your Knicks, my Pistons. What's it going to be?
Patrick Meagher, 747 on a flight to New York.
Oh, did I tell you? Well, we should talk about that later. Did I tell you about what Evan was? Oh, yeah.
I heard it.
I
heard on Shine.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We've got more with the basketball. But coming up next, it's draft season, people. And there's some juice today around the NFL. It's starting to get heated as the draft gets closer. And we're going to talk to our buddy Ian Cummings. Does a great job, Pro Football Network, as an NFL draft analyst. And he's going to join us next. Let you know what he thinks about this draft coming up. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646 as we continue on a Friday. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, a lot of golf with the Masters, NBA. It's now time to transition to the NFL, which plays year-round, of course, here on Mad Dog Sports Radio. It is VSiN Live. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher, as we welcome you back. We're going to welcome in Ian Cummings, a proud Michigan man, I should say. Ian Cummings, Pro Football Network NFL Draft Analyst at IC_draft. You can check out the articles at Pro Football Network, and we should mention the Draft Simulator. I haven't seen it, but I'm excited to play. Dustin's on it 24/7 over at Pro Football Network. You can go ahead and have some fun with the draft sim over there. Ian, welcome. Thank you for joining. Let's do this. Let's get the number 1 pick and Cam Ward out of the way, and then we'll get to the juicy stuff. Ward's going to go 1 to the Titans. Is he worthy of a number 1 overall selection, and do you like the fit for the Titans here?
I like the fit a lot. I think, Brian Callahan at this stage needs to get his guy, right? Like last year with Will Levis and, Mason Rudolph, a lot of back and forth. And you kind of knew they didn't have their long-term answer, right? There was some hope for Levis early on, but pretty clear he wasn't the guy. So I think Cam Ward, there is always a sense of if a QB class doesn't have that bona fide blue chip guy, like for instance, last year had Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, a bunch of other guys. There's always a worry that if there isn't that guy, you're going to elevate, you're going to magnify players past their actual worth. I don't think that's the case with Cam Ward. We knew he had the talent at Washington State, and then he transferred to Miami and kind of reached his potential. He's got that elite creative capacity, the arm elasticity, and he's a gamer. He's a gunslinger, but he also improved the finer details of the game, right? Playing on schedule, the accuracy, right? Processing ability. So in my opinion, he has all the tools that you need to be a franchise QB and at his peak, a potential top 12 QB in the NFL as well. So I think he's worth the pick. I think the Titans definitely need that type of talent. He's a little volatile in stretches, so you want him to keep growing towards the ceiling, but I think he's as worthy as any QB in this class. And to me, personally, like I like some aspects of Shedeur Sanders' game, but they're not really close for QB1. It's Cam Ward and then the rest.
Okay, and how about Shedeur? How do you view his potential in the league? Because we see conflicting reports from people who do the analysis, who watch the film. Some people say he should go in the top 10. Some people say he's not a first rounder. What do you see in Shedeur's game that you do and don't like?
Yeah, so Shedeur, I comp him to Brock Purdy. It's kind of a loose comp, and Brock Purdy was the last pick in his class, right, and had to earn his spot with San Francisco. But once he was insulated with the proper support, then he went on to become a Pro Bowl caliber passer, right? So I think with Shedeur Sanders, you're getting a quarterback who was very productive at multiple levels of college football, right? One of the most accurate passers in college football. And I think that's where he's going to hang his hat, is that accuracy, that ability to deliver, to distribute. But he's not an elite physical talent, which feels weird to say, being the son of Deion Sanders, right? But he's not an elite evasive threat. He's not an elite creative threat the way that Cam Ward is. He has a great arm, but not an elite arm in terms of elasticity or strength. So I think with Shedeur Sanders, you have a player who is not an elite physical talent. And then, I think he excels in certain processing departments like pre-snap reads, like coverage rotation identification, right? I don't think he's quite an elite processor either. I think he's one of the best in the class, but still not at the elite level operationally where he can offset a non-elite physical talent, right? Because he does drift in the pocket sometimes. He'll take unnecessary sacks. So you're still working with some areas to improve. I think he has enough talent to be a solid starter, but he's going to have to be insulated with more support, right? So I think that's where the conversation comes into play. How high are you willing to take a guy who can be a starter, who can be a guy that you can win with, but the margin for error is a lot slimmer, right? With Josh Allen, with Patrick Mahomes, they can keep their teams in contention even when the roster is kind of in a reloading stage, right? With Shedeur Sanders, you run the risk of potentially down swelling if you are reloading and you can't, pick up the slack. So, he's a great player. He's a good QB. It's just he's not quite at that elevating level that I would like to see.
Yeah, and Ian has them going 9 in the latest mock to the Saints, which feels about right. Ian Cummings joining us, Pro Football Network NFL Draft Analyst, talking draft, of course. All right, let's talk about who you've got going 2 overall. We, as a talk show, have had the conversation, if you did draft Travis Hunter, what do you do with him? We haven't really seen like a true dual threat where they play extensive amount of times on both sides of the ball. So let's start there. You got him going to Cleveland. Is he a better corner or potentially a better wide receiver, Ian?
It's a really tough call, man, because he could play either one. If anyone could do both full time, I would say Travis Hunter, right? If you told me that someone was going to be able to do it, I'd say no way, right? But he proved that it was possible at the collegiate level. His stamina is off the charts, and my lean has always been toward wide receiver. I think he's my wide receiver one. He's my cornerback one. Whichever position you grade him at, he's number one in this class. It's kind of that simple, right? He's just different. But I think I've always leaned toward wide receiver because you look at his frame, 6', 188, not the longest guy either, but he wins with that athletic profile, being as explosive, as fluid as he is through route breaks. He's a really good separator. People don't talk about that. People talk about the playmaking at the catch point and the rack ability when he gets the ball in space. But he's one of the best route runners that I've graded over the past 3 cycles as well. He knows how to tempo his releases, that explosion, that speed, that bend. It can be absolutely lethal against man and zone coverage. And I think his brand of physicality that he brings to the game, like he's not going to be a guy for instance, as a corner in press coverage, he's not the longest guy, he's not the biggest, so he's not always going to be able to obstruct and dictate depth and press. But as a wide receiver, I think he's more primed to deconstruct extensions from opposing corners when he's able to attack upfield, right, as a receiver working to the intermediate level. So I think his brand of physicality translates a little bit better at wide receiver, and then his ability as a 3-level threat is just insane. He's an absolute weapon. I think at corner, he's got the turnover generating ability. He can read routes, he can jump routes, he can capitalize. That elite turnover generation is always going to be valuable. If I had to pick one, I would pick wide receiver. But for the Browns in particular, right, like Greg Newsome is going into a contract year at corner. At wide receiver, they still need some more alongside Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, so he could fill either role for them, and I think that's what makes him so compelling there. The only question is Abdul Carter is also on the board, and he's a potential generational talent at edge too. So it's a tricky question, but Travis Hunter is, an elite, a generational echelon playmaker, and those don't come around very often.
Yeah, and the market has shifted in the last week here. I'm looking at DraftKings. Hunter is now minus $3 to go number 2 overall. Number 3, it's Abdul Carter, minus 265. As a Giants fan, I wanted Hunter. I'll take the consolation prize. And Abdul Carter, who you just said he could be a generational talent. What do you see about his game that locks in a high floor at the next level for Carter?
Man, he's just, his first step, his explosiveness is, I don't think there is a match for it. You watch him go off the line, it's like a blink. He's past the tackle at the apex, he's getting to the QB. That elite explosion and range that you saw from him at the off-ball linebacker spot, he brings that to the edge. And then in his first and only full-time year as an edge rusher, he had 12 sacks and 24 tackles for loss. I mean, he was insane. So I think the fact that he got it so quickly, there's still some work to do. And I think at his size, not going to be an elite run defender at the next level. I think he's probably best in a, odd or hybrid front alignment from a wide 9 stance, kind of a 3-4 outside linebacker. But, for the Giants, they've got big Dexter Lawrence in the middle there. That's something that they like to do. And Kayvon Thibodeau, right? You don't know what his long-term future is going to be with the team if they do get Carter. But I think Abdul Carter, if you wanted to reload at the edge position, right? Getting a guy with this kind of first step, this is an 100th percentile first step explosiveness type of trait. Like, this is a guy who gets off the line faster than anybody. He's got elite bend capacity to go along with it. He's got torque and power in his hands, and he can finish plays, man. I mean, and at the same time too, with his off-ball experience, for a creative defensive coordinator, you can disguise blitzes. You can drop him into coverage when it looks like a blitz look, right? So a lot of different ways that you can use this guy. You're gonna have to indulge some mad genius stuff, but it's there. It's there and ready to act on. So I love the potential. I love the immediate disruptive ability, and I think he's only trending up as an edge rusher too, because he's still so young in that stage of his career. So ultimately you're getting a high upside gamble, and he's already a very, very good disruptor because of that first step, because of that playmaking range and pursuit. So that's kind of where the high floor comes from, but also an incredibly high ceiling as well. So if you're the Giants, that's kind of where the selling points come from.
The comp works because of the same school. Is this like Micah Parsons' potential good?
I will say from an archetypal standpoint, yes. I don't want to go one-to-one, like exact comp, because like you said, same school. Sometimes we have a habit of associating those guys just, by default. But if you're looking for an archetypal thing, right? Off ball, going to edge, having the explosion, the hand strength, and the finishing ability, the pursuit speed. I do think that type of archetypal comp is realistic. I think at his max potential, you are looking at a disruptive threat within that mold. I think Parsons was maybe a little bit stronger coming out, but I think Abdul Carter is just as athletic, just as explosive, just as flexible around the apex. And those building blocks are going to allow him to work toward that ceiling.
How about Ashton Genty? He's RB1 on a lot of people's lists. Obviously, Omarion Hampton's up there. We've got Henderson out of Ohio State, a lot of options. I'm looking at the betting board for Ashton Genty. Raiders a heavy favorite at -150, the Bears +270, and then from there the Jaguars +650, and it gets a lot bigger from there. If you're looking at Ashton Genty's game, who does he maybe remind you of? How does he project? And do you believe he's worth the Raiders taking him as high as they could potentially be doing it in the top 10?
Man, who does he remind me of? I feel guilty answering that question because, I mean, the answer is, I don't want to say Barry Sanders, but at the same time, I mean, I don't think we've seen, I mean, his production was Barry Sanders-esque, right? Now, I'm not comping him to that one-on-one, right? But I will say, the amount of elusive potential that he has with, again, that low center of gravity, the contact balance, but then also the explosion, the agility, the creative instincts, the vision. This guy is as complete of a runner as you're going to find. The creative instincts are off the charts, and he's a phenomenal athlete on top of that. He's a really savvy receiving threat. I've seen Alvin Kamara as a potential comp for him too, maybe a smaller, stouter Alvin Kamara. And I can see that too. I think he's incredibly dynamic in both phases of the game. The biggest thing for me is that, at his size, not naturally going to be an elite pass protector. So if you're an NFL coach or a GM, you want your QB to be safe on third downs. That's maybe somewhere that he's not going to be as secure. But I think looking at what he provides in multiple phases, this is a guy who grades, he's my highest rated running back since Bijan Robinson. And I think, that honor is going to stay that way for a long time. He's an incredible creator, an incredible elusive threat. And if I'm the Raiders, right, I think he's definitely worth the pick. The question for the Raiders is your roster is still kind of rough at several spots, corner being another one, right? So if you want to take Will Johnson or Jediah Barron, that could also be an option. So it's going to come down to positional value. But in the NFL, we're seeing that the rise of single high, or too high safety looks, less defenders in the box, running backs, having an elite running back can be something to help with that. The comment about the Bears, I think he would be a phenomenal fit there too if he gets past the Raiders. Ben Johnson's offense with that reworked offensive line that they've gathered, I think he'd be an instant impact starter right out of the gate, again, for all the same reasons that we said. And also with Ben Johnson, he's a very creative offensive mind. There are plenty of ways to get Ashton Genty involved in the receiving game as well. So I think, the versatility plays in there. I don't know if he falls past the Bears if he makes it there, but running backs are hard to value in the NFL draft. So it's going to be tough, and especially with this class in particular, because this running back class, Genty is one of the best prospects to come out, but you also have upwards of 24 guys who you could put in a good situation, and they could be starters down the line. So teams will be looking at that too to see if they can spend another position early on and get a running back in day 2 or day 3.
Well, you got our producer of our YouTube channel, Ryan Smith, back in Vegas, excited. He's a Bears fan. Genty feels like a Bear to me. I don't know why. Yeah. And I need people to understand something. Ian, you may know this living in Michigan. Mm-hmm. You're getting, I'm a 47-year-old man, watched a lot of football. You are getting the best play caller I've ever seen. Yeah. That is Ben Johnson.
Oh, yeah, we loved him. It was terrible to lose him, yeah.
It was terrible to lose him. And I'm not just talking about play calls in the moment. I'm talking about structure of an offense. What the difference in with the Chicago Bears this year is going to be glaring. Would you agree with that? He is going to do wonders with Caleb Williams.
Oh, yeah, I would agree. I think not just the play calling, but you listen to him speak. He's got a really analytical mindset, which I think you have to embrace analytics to get ahead in the NFL, right? You definitely need to have some old school elements of leadership too, toughness, character, culture building, those things are all important. But having the analytical mindset, always trying to find that one edge that can take you to the top, that's going to be a big thing. And I think looking at how Ben Johnson, the thing with the Lions, how they won was they got ahead with the passing game and they stayed ahead with the running game. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs just running all over teams, right? And then imposing their will with the offensive line in the trenches. So it's very clear the way they want to play the game. And I think that, if you were thinking, is Ashton Genty going to be the pick? On one hand, it's a really strong running back class, so you could wait. But on the other hand, I mean, think of what Ben Johnson could do with this guy at the running back position. And we know how much he values the running game to control games. So I could really see it being something pretty high on their list. So, but to answer the question in full, Ben Johnson was probably one of the best hires they can make. And I think he's going to have a ton of opportunities to keep improving his offense in this draft.
They're going to be fun. They're going to be fun. And last year, I mean, look, Caleb was not exactly coached up a season ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to fault him. Yeah. And Patrick and I just keep coming back to if Ben Johnson did what he did with Jared Goff, imagine what he can do with Caleb Williams.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously last year, a year ago, Ian, Caleb was clearly the number one Jaden, maybe you had Jaden number 1. Either way, we had a bunch of quarterbacks go in the first round. Expectation is we know it's going to be Cam Ward. We know it's going to be Shador. How many more quarterbacks do you think are potentially going to go in this first round, and how would you rank them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd say definitely Cam Ward number 1. I think Shedeur Sanders has a really wide range because there is a small chance that if the Browns or the Giants like him enough, they could take him. But the fact that there's so much buzz about him sliding down the board leads me to believe the latter, that maybe they're not sold on him. Then you go to, I think the next team on my list would be the Saints, right? Because, one, they probably weren't married to Derek Carr completely long-term with Kellen Moore being a new coach trying to restart. And then the news came out today that Derek Carr has a shoulder issue where it could impact his availability for the 2025 season, right? So, that future is even more occluded now. So now it's just a question of, is Shedeur Sanders the guy that we want, right? It seems like the answers are going to be varying for these teams, but at a certain point, I would say probably middle of the first round, I could see a team like the Steelers trading up to get Shedeur, right? Maybe to 15 to the Falcons. The Falcons could trade back, get more capital. That could be a spot for that, right? But either way, I think Shadeur's window is 2. There's a really small chance he goes to the Browns, to 21. I think if the Steelers were to stand pat and he's still there, they probably run up and take him because their QB situation is dire. And then after that, I would say one more quarterback. I would say one of Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart. I don't know which one it's going to be yet, but I could see a team like Cleveland or New York, if they don't get a QB in round 1, trade back into the 20s and get one of those guys. Jalen Milroe's upside is through the roof. Jackson Dart, we know he has all the cosmetic abilities that you want to see from a quarterback. He's an athlete. He's got a really smooth release. He's tough, competitive. So I think they have enough selling points to entice a team in a sparse QB class like this. The wild card is Tyler Shuck from Louisville. I know there's been a lot of buzz about him. If he's not a 26-year-old rookie, he could be a more confident round 1 pick. He's athletic. He's big. He's got a great arm. And he's another gunslinger who, again, that can be a double-edged sword. But for him, it allows him to make throws that other guys can't make. So Tyler Shuck is the wild card, but I'd say it's one of Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart that follows the first 2.
The Milroe steam is crazy. The Milroe steam. If Jalen Milroe, who is an awesome athlete, goes in the first round, that is going to be theater because I think I can throw better. I'm sorry.
I know, but I want him. I want him on the Giants. I want that speed.
That is going.
I will say, if you can get him in a situation where he doesn't have to start right away, the upside is out of this world, right? So I think let him continue to refine his mechanics behind the scenes, and you could be rewarded down the line.
So the wide receivers, who do you have going in the first round? And I know it's not a good class. Is it a horrific class of wide receivers? Is it like a C, a D? Where do you have this as far as a grade?
No, I'd say it's a B. You don't have as much top end talent as you had with Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, all those guys, Brian Thomas Jr. But I do think you have enough talent in the early rounds. My wide receiver 1 again is Travis Hunter, depending on where he plays. But after that, Matthew Golden is a really good player. I think some analytics profiles aren't so fond of him, right? But looking at the tape, I really love what he has to offer as a route runner. Got great catch point skills as well for his size. He kind of reminds me of T.Y. Hilton. I think he could be that kind of dynamic weapon for you. Tetero McMillan, a lot of back and forth on his profile. He needs to improve at beating press, but at 6'4", 218, really good fluidity and agility. One of the most agile guys that I've seen at that size, and he plays the game with really natural leverage IQ as a route runner, even though he's not the best against press. And then he's a power forward at the catch point too. He can box guys out. He can make really tough catches. He's got some rack ability to him as well. So really good player there. Emeka Egbuka, movement Z, who can be in that kind of Puka Nacua mold if you wanted. He's got that alignment versatility, but really good rack, really good catch point too. Just a solid player who I think is really underrated. And then even going down the line, Jalen Royals, you got Luther Burden, you got Jalen Knoll. I think this class's strength is definitely in that day 2, like early day 2 to late day 2 range. A lot of receivers clustered within that range who I could see if they go to the right spot, they could be quality contributors, right? So I think it's a B receiving class. I don't think it's as good as last year's because last year's had that, that 3-headed monster at the top and then BTJ to go on top of that. But I do think this class is a really solid one. I think we're going to have a lot of good starters.
I know you grind a lot of tape. You watch the film. Has been a player that you put the film on and went, hold on, I didn't realize this guy was going to be this good? Is there someone that you got ready for this year in your evaluation? You went, oh, this jumps off the screen to me, and you think they're going to be a stud that maybe people aren't talking about?
Yeah, I'll give a couple guys that graded really high for me. One is, I just mentioned him in the receiver group, but Jalen Royals out of Utah State. watching his tape, man, he gives me some Pierre Garçon vibes. You know, he's got that big frame, 6 foot, almost 210, but he's a really good route runner for his size. So he's an energized athlete, really fluid, not a ton of hitches in his breaks. With guys who are built like that, you worry that they're not as fluid or efficient on transitions, but he's a great route runner. I think he's got the twitch to beat press, and he's a phenomenal rack threat too. I think if you're not super sold on Luther Burden because his production dipped a little bit, if you want to take Jalen Royals around later, I think you could be getting as much or more ROI on that investment, because Jalen Royals, you know, he can separate. He's got rack. He can make plays at the catch point too. Really good contested catch player. So a lot of things to like with him, and I think he'll be a 3-level threat. Trey Amos, the corner from Ole Miss, is another one. He originally started at Louisiana, then transferred to Alabama. Things didn't work out with the Crimson Tide, but he went to Ole Miss and had a phenomenal year. Athletic profile is very, very similar to AJ Terrell, who's become a really good player with the Atlanta Falcons. He's, you know, twitchy, he's fluid, but he's got good length as well. He can make plays at the catch point, and you know, he's got that ability to play press man, off man, or zone coverage. He's got great route recognition. He can peel off and make plays. Just a really well-rounded, versatile player that has the athletic framework to be even more than that, potentially become an impact starter. So there's plenty more on my board, but I think those two in particular stand out as guys who, when I watched them, I was rolling the grade and I was like, hang on a sec, am I really this high on this guy? And you know, I trust what I see.
The two tight ends, you mentioned the huge kid, Tyler Warren, Penn State. Wasn't the Michigan kid also going to be
Colson Loveland?
Yeah, that's right. My bad. Is there a big discrepancy between the two players for you?
No, they're pretty much. I think one is ranked 9th on my board and one is ranked 10th or 11th. They're very close. They're pretty much tight end 1A and tight end 1B. Tyler Warren, I think, is the more complete player when it comes to catch point skills and blocking. But I think Colson Loveland is still a really good blocker, and his superpower is the route efficiency, the versatility, right? You know, think of Ben Johnson, right? You know, that the type of things that he was able to do with Sam Laporta in the Detroit Lions offense. I think Colson Loveland could do similar things because of how fluid, explosive he is, how efficient he is as a route runner, how well versed he is as a separator. You know, that kind of talent, you know, doesn't come around often at 6'6", 250, right? So, you know, a really good receiving X factor. It's just Tyler Warren to me. You know, he's got a little bit more juice as a rack threat too, with that contact balance, that physicality. So it's kind of just choosing your flavor, right? If you want the guy who's going to catch pretty much everything and is going to bully guys in the rack phase, Tyler Warren is going to be that guy, and you can use him in many different ways too. But if you want the tight end who can route up DBs like a wide receiver, Colson Loveland is your guy, right? So I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think they're both phenomenal players. It's just going to come down to what you're looking for at that position.
I think my favorite pick when I'm looking at your mock, you posted Pro Football Network, your mock draft. The mock draft simulator is stupid. My girlfriend will be looking at me thinking I'm texting other girls on my phone as if like there are other girls that want to text with me. She'll go, "What are you doing over there?" And she'll look over, and I have the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator up, and I'm just doing another New York Giants mock draft, trying to make sure I can get Arroyo, the tight end out of Miami, in the third round. Maybe find some offensive line help in the fourth. But my favorite pick that you have, and one that you just released, Omarion Hampton going 29 to Washington. Am I crazy that this guy has like? I know it's sacrilege to compare to Saquon Barkley, but athleticism-wise, he has the potential to be a game-changing running back at the next level. What do you see from Hampton that you like, and why the fit with Washington there at 29?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think Omarion Hampton is one of those guys who, again, the volume back mold, 6 foot, 220, and he's explosive. You know, he's got great physicality coming downhill. I think, you know, you look at Washington and what they were trying to get with Brian Robinson Jr. is a guy who can take volume, who can dish physicality downhill, and who can be the engine for your offense at the end of the day, right? Omarion Hampton has the size and the physicality, but he's got 4.4 speed too. Like when he finds a hole, he can break out big plays. And I think that's the great thing with him. He's a pretty good receiving threat too for his size. The thing that he gives to Washington that I don't think they had with Brian Robinson Jr. Brian Robinson Jr. was a great sledgehammer, a jackhammer, right? He'd find a gap, he'd get through it. But once he got to the second level, he pretty much just finishes forward and kind of gruels the tough yards out. I think Omarion Hampton is a little bit better at using his speed to press behind blocks and create space for himself. And with that, you know, he can extend big runs, not just create, you know, little, you know, chain movers. And I think he has a little bit more creative IQ behind the line as well when it comes to pressing and, you know, making defenders clear out a lane so that he can capitalize. So, you know, he's got all the attributes on the surface level of an explosive volume back, but he has some some pretty good soft skills too that I think can prolong his career, expand the amount of ways that you can use him. And, especially in a wide zone, gap, diverse scheme, right? Cliff Kingsbury really used a lot of different run blocking schemes in his offense. Elmarian Hampton can hit gaps quickly in gap and power, but then he's got the speed to run behind inside zone, outside zone, wide zone, and divert upfield with really quick cuts too. So a complete runner, a guy who's going to dish out some physicality, set the tone, and I think provides more of what they were lacking with Robinson.
Yeah, that he would be a perfect fit there. I mean, with all due respect to Brian Robinson Jr., he's basically Najee Harris. I mean, just slow. like you watch him, you're like, feels like there should be more here.
There's an expiration date on that style of play, too, and it falls off a cliff fast. Like, you need a little more pop.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Ian Cummings, great job, man. Pro Football Network NFL draft analyst at IC_draft. You can also check out Ian's articles there, get his latest mock draft as well, and check out what the big guy's been playing with. That's the draft simulator over at Pro Football Network. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. Have a nice weekend.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks,
Great
buddy.
stuff.
Appreciate it. Yeah, good stuff about the draft. When is the draft? I'm trying to.
We're going to be on the air during it. I'm just realizing that, like the old days. It's the Thursdays. 2 Thursdays. So less than 2
April
weeks away.
24th?
Yeah, man, we're right around the corner. There's been no hype because the lack of quarterbacks this year. It's unfortunate, but I think we're going to get some chaos.
For some reason I thought May, but no, it's always end of April.
Yeah, end of April. It's I'm excited for it because I think it's the single most fun sport event of the year. Just there's so much that happens. Teams believe they have a chance. Every team's relevant on that day in the NFL. We can't say that even in week 1 of the NFL season, but during the draft, every team matters and what they're doing and where they are in their process, whether they're going for it or they're rebuilding. And I think there's actually an interesting prospect pool just because late in that first round, I think it could get crazy and some desperate teams could end up drafting quarterbacks. And by the way, Ian Cummings calling Jackson Dart saying that he has the cosmetic looks of a quarterback, that is the best way of explaining Jackson Dart. Cosmetically, he looks like it. But there's no way I'm handing the keys to my franchise to Jackson Dart with how he essentially underachieved everywhere he was in college.
If somebody uses a first-round draft pick on a kid that couldn't start at USC, now I understand that they had promised, I can't remember.
They had like 12 quarterbacks. Dude.
Yeah, they had so many Sarkisian, one thing he did do is he drafted he recruited 1 million quarterbacks and then he melted down, obviously. But whatever about the player, if you're taking him out of that system and thinking he's going to translate with that Lane Kiffin whack-ass system, think that he's going to translate to the NFL, no thank you. If you're going to take a chance on Milroe.
Because the upside's stupid. The upside is a faster Jalen Hurts. Now, he's not a great thrower of the football, as you mentioned, but maybe you scheme it up, you coach it up. At the very least, day one, there's wildcat packages for him, so at least that throws people off the scent of what you want to do offensively. As a Giants fan, I would love to – if they think they're going to win and save Brian Daboll and Joe Shane's jobs next year, Jalen Milroe makes sense as a wildcat quarterback to go with Russell Wilson, and you develop him for the future.
Yeah, I just think if you're taking a chance late in the first round or early second round and you're looking
all
at
the way.
Dart or Milroe, commit and just go in and just say, we could have something special here, you're probably going to have a career backup in Dart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's probably what he is.
He'll stick around for 10 years and he'll be a serviceable backup.
And every now and then there'll be a situation where a team goes, you know what? We're just going to let Jackson Dart be the starter and let the chips fall where they may. And you know where it's going to fall? Drafting in the top 10 the next year.
Yeah, and the chips fall out of the playoffs. So good luck with that. Look, I have no clue what I think about Shedeur. People have had so many mixed opinions about him that it's one of those things where I'm just lost now. So,
you know what I tell you? I've come back
terrible.
I've come back the other way. I was, as a Giants fan, picking at 3. I don't want Shedeur at 3. But if they traded back into the first round and took him at 20-something, yeah, I'm okay with that. Because I think there's developmental potential there with just the accuracy, the cerebral nature that he knows how to play the position. He wouldn't have to start right away. I've talked myself into being intrigued by Shedeur later in the first round. But not at 3. Can't do it at 3. Oh, he's a donk.
You can't do it at 3. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. A half hour left here. VSiN Live on a Friday. We'll get to your calls and plenty to do. It's Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN is on SiriusXM Channel 158. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage on Channel 158 and the SiriusXM app. Now, exclusive offer for you, SiriusXM listeners, and Mad Dog Sports Radio listeners. You get everything we offer, VSiN Pro access for $19 until August 1st. It's a great deal. It gets you a daily email with all the best bets, including the golfer tomorrow, people. exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circus Sportsbooks, plus Kentucky Derby betting guide, NFL betting guide when it drops this summer. So go to VSiN.com/subscribe. You have to use the promo code SERIOUS to lock in the special offer. What were you saying before we came back from break?
Believe there's a Mad Dog Sports Radio field trip going on right now at Madison Square Garden. A picture I just sent you of one Edward Erickson, producer of Mad Dog Unleashed, Michael Babchick, co-host of the DA show with Babchick, and I believe the strapping gentleman in the tan or black or brown jacket is Al in White Plains, legendary caller.
Is it really?
I believe
How
that's
would you?
who that
How did you
is.
know that was Al?
I met Al when I went to Falcon. What was that, 2018, 2019, somewhere in that range? Yeah, I met him there. I believe that is
Who's
Al.
the donkey-to-donk on the right?
I don't know who that guy is, but he looks like he's ready to go to a club and order some bottle service.
Yeah, and Eddie, who we love, looks like he's not ready to go to a club.
No, Eddie at a club? Eddie'd be asleep in the corner.
Babchick looks horrible per usual. Al's dapper looking there. He's looking good.
That's I think the irony about Babchick looking horrible is like it's more effort for him to look horrible. He actually thinks about looking horrible than it would be to just wear normal clothes and cut his hair.
I don't know. He's kind of trifling looking. I'm not gonna lie. He knows it. He knows it. Okay, we welcome you back. 888 Mad Dog 6 888-623-3646. That's a tremendous job by Adam on line one. That's all I'm gonna say. That's a tremendous job.
Oh no, yeah, that's what I told him. You know what? That is what we're looking for. Here.
Thank you.
Details
That's-
matter. Details matter.
Yeah. It's all in the details. It's all in the details. Let's say hi to our buddy Jai in Baltimore, Mr. Oriole, Mr. Bangle.
Oh.
It's cracking.
What's cracking, gentlemen? How y'all doing on this Friday night? What's going on?
How you doing, buddy? Hey, congrats. I saw the accolades, my man. Good job by you.
I saw that. I replied to your email, Patrick. Thank you, gentlemen, both for reaching out. Dustin liked the tweet. I appreciate y'all's nice words, your influence, your kinship, greatly appreciated. It just, in all seriousness, it goes to show somebody that's, busts their ass and does what they can. I can't tell you how many times, how many hours I spent staying in that damn radio station, man, day after day after day, especially during the bulk of the football season where, in the words of Tony Soprano, that being my busy season. And it just feels good, that my hard work, although young in my career, that somebody outside of, my family and myself and other people, that it's getting recognized. So
why don't you explain to the audience what we're talking about? Because they need to know.
Well, earlier this week, it was brought to my attention I was nominated for the 2024-2025 Chesapeake Associated Press Broadcasters Award for most outstanding sports radio feature. And it was a monologue that I did during the middle of the football season. I believe it was the Monday of week 11, which, if I'm not mistaken, was mid-November, and it was the day after my Bengals lost to the Chargers in that disgusting game.
Of course.
What else was new? And the Ravens lost to the Steelers, with the Steelers not having to score a touchdown 18-16. So I got nominated for that. It was brought to my attention that I got one of the few nominations earlier this week. I believe that was on Tuesday, and I will not here, but the award ceremony will be the weekend of June the 6th through the 8th in Ocean City, Maryland. And I'm up there nominated with people that work at, WBAL, which is a big-time radio station here across the state, and obviously all of the CBS, NBC, Fox TV affiliates here in the state. And it's not a huge deal, but it's a big deal.
It's a great jibe.
It's awesome.
Be proud, buddy. That's great. Congratulations,
dude. I'm seeing WTOP's. WTOP is like one of the #1 stations in America. You're nominated for an award with people who work at these legit major places. You should be proud of this.
I am. It's just, I try to, like my parents, they raised me, Jai, stay humble, always be low because, the bigger you are, the harder you fall, and you never want, as they put, I grew up, going to church, everything else to say, you never want God to humble you. And sometimes, God humbling you can come in a fashion that you may not like. So I always, I try to stay humble, stay, cool, calm, and collected. But trust me, I am very proud of myself.
I think God humbled you, Jai, by making you a Bengals fan. So you can.
Oh,
you can be proud of this.
Absolutely. He also humbled me by being an Orioles fan. They stink.
Oh,
they stink.
boy.
They're 5-8.
Here we go.
Brandon Hyde is horrific. I mean, the lineup cards that he writes is absolutely disgusting. I mean, we got Cedric Mullins going up against Chris Bubich, a left-handed starting pitcher for the Royals last Sunday afternoon. He doesn't play. He sticks Jorge Mateo out there in center field that couldn't catch a cold if you licked the bottom of a toilet seat. He's so and he drops 2 routine fly balls in center field. The team can't hit. There's no life. There's no sense of urgency, nothing. Everybody thinks that everything's fine. Sugar and spice, everything nice. They're like 47-55 since June 20th. That damn baseball team of mine is a complete mess. I can't stand them. They really, really, really find a way to piss me off. They pissed me off. I found news of that nomination on Tuesday. My date was made. The Orioles played 9:30 in Arizona. I wanted to throw my damn phone through my back door window. They pissed me off.
Are you into the Masters?
Yeah, absolutely. I would rather watch the Masters 30 times a day than spend 1 hour at the NFL draft. There's something about that. That yes, I can't, Dustin. I contrary to what people may think, I cannot stand the NFL draft. I think it's the most boring, most just unentertaining, underwhelming event in the NFL calendar. I can't fathom the idea that people will want to flock to a location to sit in a seat to watch Goodell and a bunch of other randoms take 3.5, 4 hours to read 32 names off a cue card. I cannot. Outside of 2020 when we had the pandemic, and 2021 was a whole debate whether or not my team was going to pick Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase. I have had zero interest in the NFL draft. The Masters is where it's at. I think it's the pinnacle of professional golf. Augusta National's a gorgeous course. The colors, the green and the yellow, Amen Corner. You watch the Masters literally for a day, and you want to get out and go hit a bucket of balls. I love the
Masters. You're a legend. Oh, why do you want to talk about the Knicks? You care about the Knicks?
Well, yeah, because they're like my Orioles. They're a team that loves to break the hearts of their local fan base that hasn't won a damn thing in damn near 45 years. It's not longer than that. The Knicks has been over 50. They're a soft basketball team. I tell you, I root for them to do well because again, the fan base, long suffering. I like the blue collar persona of that basketball team, at least in last year and the previous year's version, obviously when they had that playoff series against the Atlanta Hawks a few years ago. But I do not like this New York Knicks team at all. I think they're very soft. I don't think Karl Anthony Towns is a rough rider that you can depend on to win an NBA championship with. And when they get into a best of 7 series against the Detroit Pistons, the Detroit Pistons are going to give those guys an ass whooping they have not yet seen before. They're such a soft basketball team. They can't beat anybody good. It's just, and I think Tom Thibodeau has reached his expiration date too. And that's just my humble opinion.
Good job, Jai. By the way, it is official. So the Pistons got blown out by the Bucks. They are the 6th seed.
Oh, all right. So we have to discuss something. We have to discuss something going on in your life where I think you're going to have to, unfortunately, leave your home. I think you got to leave your home.
This is not let me just look. Yeah, they got blown out. So it's official. It's going to be a 3-6 matchup with the Knicks, who wrapped up the 3 with Indiana's loss, and the Pistons with their loss. Doesn't matter what happens on Sunday. They are the 6th seed. So my best friend lives in New York. He has – I don't know how he got season tickets.
Probably work.
I guess it would be work. But he has season tickets to the Nets. He's a Nets fan. So none of this makes any sense. But he texted me, I have Knicks season tickets. You have to come for a Pistons-Knicks playoff game. We're all set with the seats. He said they're dead center, top of the arena with bar stools. I freaking love them. I go there to root against the Knicks.
So you guys will be aligned at least too.
So it's a dual thing, as Dustin knows. He's so close to this guy. So it's a dual thing where it's been years since I've seen him. So yes. It's an excuse to go hang with a good friend, and then it's also hey, you get to watch. How many opportunities are you going to have to watch the Pistons in a playoff game at MSG?
Yeah, and even
but
bigger
I don't
for me,
like to travel.
I know, but even bigger, you can. Not that you're going to want it. You can still do this dumb show from New York City. Hello, that's where everything runs out of. So
that's true. I guess I didn't think about that.
So you can miss one of the shows to go to the game you go to, or go to two games.
That's a good point.
And secondly, you and this friend came up in the industry together at the same time. Your mutual bond was sports. You haven't seen him since before the pandemic. As your friend, I would like you to go spend quality time with your friend. You're almost 50 years old. How many more chances? How many more chances are you going to have to go do this before you retire?
I know, that's weird. That was super sad when you just said that.
No, it should be the opposite. It should be inspiring. You should want to go see your friend. I mean, like,
no, it is. No, but it's super sad to say almost 50, and I met him, I was probably 24. So it just puts life in perspective. But you're right. And then I didn't even think about it. Like you said, I go hang out with that donk Adam up in New York if he's producing. Hey, as long as Jacob's not there.
Oh, no, you know Jacob's going to find a way to be there. That psycho, he's going to come in to see you. He might try to take you on a date with him. Come see my date, Patrick.
He's going to want to go to the strip club. No, you're right. Yeah. I got to do it. It's one of those things where I'm just like really reticent to travel, but it's too many things are lining up.
Also, you love New York. You lived in New York for, 10 years?
I lived in New York, but when I lived in New York, it was late 20s. And I moved to New York at 25, left New York at 34. So that's like the time you live in New York.
Yeah, but you haven't been back
I'm too old to go to New York now.
When did you and I go to New York together? Is that the last time you were in New York? When we went for work in 2018?
Yeah.
2017, 2018, somewhere in that range?
Correct.
You got to go. That's the last time.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. Be great to see and it'd be just, it's exciting. That area around MSG is a very exciting area in New York City. The buzz is going to be electric. I think it's going to be a good series, honestly.
Look, what do they always say? Like a big game in Madison Square Garden, it matters more. And when you live there, the Knicks were irrelevant. And this is a chance to see if it lives up to the hype. We feel it through the TV, but you get to. There's not often, like the Masters going on right now, it's not often there are events you actually want to go to where you feel like it exceeds or lives up to this massive hype. The Masters feels like one. A playoff game at MSG with your team playing it feels like another.
Yeah, I agree. Let's answer the question individually when we come back. Who will be the best rank the players 1 through 4 on the court? Pistons, Knicks playoff series. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
It's a good job by me. I sent Shane, one of our bosses in at Mad Dog, and then also Spitz, who runs everything in the sports department. I sent them an email because we had just gotten off a shift with Naya, and she was very professional. And I said, I'm sending you this to give your producers and board ops crazy credit because I've been working here since, 05. And this is the best crop of most professional. I said even Jacob. I threw Jacob in the mix. Now, obviously, I was lying about Jacob.
Yeah, of
but
course.
I said the most professional group of producer, assistant producers, and board ops I've worked with. So, congratulations.
Yeah, you know from experience, you're a rare person hosting on one of these one of these shows on Sirius that started as a board op, so you know how dumb some of the board ops are because you were one of them.
Yeah, I was definitely a dumb board op. Now, I thought the most solid thing I did was literally saying even Jacob.
No, look, he's a good kid. He's just a psychopath. It's not his fault. No, he's not. He doesn't mean it. He's just, his brain is wired to be a psychopath. It's not his fault.
No, he's a legitimate crazy person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I mean, the Yankees have a home game today. I hope he doesn't go to jail. I feel like we have to call the Bronx jail every time the Yankees have a game.
So I asked the question. JBT asked it as well. Who's the best player on the court in a Knicks-Pistons playoff series?
I'll be annoying. I'm going to say Jalen Brunson just because while Cade's awesome, he hasn't done it in a playoff series yet. I want to see him do that first. I think he's the more talented player. But Brunson last year against more talented guys all along the way stepped up and was the best player on the floor in multiple series. So I'll take Jalen Brunson number one.
I'm not I would text Dustin during the playoffs last year. I'm not embarrassed to say it. My favorite basketball player on the planet is Jalen Brunson. Truthfully. However, one thing I would say is that I never expected, oh my gosh, Knicks are minus 425 as a favorite. So I guess my 225 was a little off.
Woo!
But I swear to you, Cade is averaging 26, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. I mean, he just does so much. I'm still going to say Jalen Brunson. And that's a tremendous job by me being, magnanimous as a Pistons fan. But Cade's close, obviously.
I think it's a conversation for sure. It's definitely worthy of it. He had a stupid season. I'd also say if we're going to look at the two teams, the Knicks probably have the second and the third best player in the series.
Yeah.
But if we're going to go depth, the bench for Detroit could be a difference maker in this series. They have guys who come off the bench who can score, and the Knicks have a really shallow roster. So because of that, this is a series I expect to go to the distance and the Knicks to be banged up by the time it's over.
But you would agree, you go Jalen, Cade, Cat, Hart.
Yeah. And then
Hart's
from
the
there,
fourth best player in this series.
Yeah, well, he also, again, the track record, the effort, the rebounding, the defense, the versatility, three-point shooting.
You don't even have to qualify it. He's that good. You know that.
Also, Jaden Ivey's going to come back at some point for Detroit as well. He's only played 30 games this year. I think he's on track maybe to be back in 2 weeks, so maybe miss part of the series, but perhaps a chance to get Ivey back, but Beasley gets buckets. The problem is it's like Tobias Harris in the playoffs. What are you going to get? Jalen Duren, he's an old school big. But there's depth there. There's guys. Thompson's coming along, by the way. He's starting to pop.
Yeah, I wish he was his brother.
That's Can they just switch? We used to
they
have a
knew
joke
in the draft. Remember, they went back to back, but Amen went first.
We had a joke.
Your parents like you better when they name you Amen and your brother Asur.
Whenever Tiki Barber and Rondé Barber would play and one would go off, we would claim it was just Rondé wearing Tiki's jersey that day, and it was really Rondé who was the stud.
I'm excited about the series, is what I will say.
It's going the distance.
It's 425. The Knicks are favored. $4.25. That is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Great job, big guy. Great job, Adam. Great job, Ryan, as well. We'll see you Monday right here, VSiN Live. Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Dustin Swedelson.